Hello and welcome to We Got Issues, the only comic book podcast that remembers a time when the X-Men were actually cooler than the Avengers. Hi, I'm Brian Compton, aka BComp, and joining me as always is the Nightcrawler to my Wolverine, Josh Markwith. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm ready to discuss more X-Men stuff like how we have in the intro. I think X-Men, do you think they've been more popular than the Avengers pre-MCU?
They were pre-MCU,
right?
but post-MCU, no. It's funny, I saw a post on Reddit where like there were some, the commenters were talking back and forth where it was like that. Have you ever met someone who's younger than you who's been absolutely wrong about something you lived through? And it turned into an entire discussion about like, yeah, I was trying to talk to my kid's sister, my whatever, like, and like, no, the Avengers are cooler. And it's like, dude, there's a time like the X-Men aren't cool. Like they've never been cool. I'm like, dude, you do not know what you're talking about. And it's like, oh yeah, like I have a young person who believes that Doc Ock is a woman because it's like, oh, like just like those kind of things. I was just laughing. I was like, yeah, it's true. Like,
well, I mean, it kind of goes to show you too, just the reaction to that Doomsday trailer with the X-Men, like that.
Yeah.
Like the and just how people react when they saw Wolverine in his like in the yellow costume in real life. Like,
yeah,
people are wanting the X-Men to come back into an old 90s like looks and everything too.
Well, I was gonna say, I as always I digress, but last Halloween, one of my kids, one of his like classmates, like her older sister was, they're doing a big Halloween, parade at the school, and she had a 90s accurate Storm costume on.
Wow,
And
that's really cool.
I lost my mind, like to the point where I had to go to the parents, and I was just like, where and how did that happen? That's like completely 90s accurate.
Yeah.
Like, and then it dawned on me, she's like, oh, she's really into the cartoon. I was like, oh, X-Men 97, that's right. Because I was just like, that is such a specific reference. That is so cool. And then I thought it was like, she's into the comics. I'm like, I will give her all the comics. And they're like, oh, no. She just likes the cartoon. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. They're just like, calm down, stranger we've never met before. Like,
oh, they knew who I was. But yeah, it was just like,
calm down, bro. Dude,
it was like, I was losing my mind because it was the white drapes and I was like, oh man, I loved it.
Like, honey, just don't talk to the crazy man. Just keep walking.
Just keep walking. Pull out your pepper spray.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but I mean, yeah, it's just funny to see the resurgence of the X-Men recently with the 97 and all that stuff. So it's just
maybe they can bring that to the comics. I don't know.
Oh God, I hope and wish. Maybe this whole thing is another reset. I mean, the Revelation or whatever it is.
Yeah, Did you read any of Age of Revelation?
I've stayed away from it. You put it as like your bottom 5 thing from like here. I was like,
it wasn't very good. I will say that a couple of the issues coming out of it did set up some interesting pieces. Like after like the whole thing was over, I'm like, okay, I'm curious to see where they're going to go with that. Would I say that X-Men comics right now are the best? No. Will I say they're the worst?
Or your favorite?
No.
Yeah. No.
They're not my favorite books right now. It's too bad. But anyway, that doesn't stop us from the other 50 years of X-Men comics that came beforehand, though.
Yeah, right. And, speaking of just, other 50 years, like the last episode, we're going to be staying in the 90s. Yes. This is Brian's, this is your decade, bro. The extreme, Doritos extreme, pouches, blades, huge pecs, guns everywhere. Yeah, everybody had a gun in the 90s. Superman had a gun in the 90s.
Yeah, he did.
But this time we're going to the other. Yeah, elsewhere. Yeah, that's right. He had the big white beard and everything. But
I have it. It's Worlds Without End or something like that. I have it somewhere.
just Google Superman gun 90s and you'll see just this massive like very 90s gun.
Santa Claus. It's Santa Claus Superman with a giant gun. It's weird.
It's Santa Claus cosplaying as Superman with the 90s like Layfield gun type of look, like and Cable at the same time. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I
Yeah,
have it though.
but of course you do, Brian. It's probably in that one garage that you have that's
Full.
filled with the
It's at
comic
Earth's End.
books.
That was it. It's at Earth's End. That was the name of the book. At Earth's End.
Oh.
I had to look it up.
How
Sorry.
dare you get it wrong the first time? How dare you?
I know.
But like I said, though, we're staying in the 90s and we're going from the other company because last week we talked about Hitman and DC, and definitely check out that episode because that's one of Brian's favorite books, and we had a really great discussion on that. But we are now back at the Mary Marvel, and we are talking about, if you haven't guessed it from our intro, the X-Men, and specifically this the 90s crossover event. Not the one you're thinking of. No, not that one either. And definitely not that one. We're talking about Fatal Attractions. No, not that one. No, Fatal Attractions.
I love that there was like seriously, I think you were not kidding. I think there was like at least 8 or 9 crossover events in X-Men comics in the 90s. But before we can discuss all that and get into debate which one was the best and who is the coolest mutant, which is Gambit, by the way.
Random.
What's that? Random is the coolest mutant?
Yeah. Joseph.
Joseph, the clone of Magneto? Sure. You need to check out Duff and Shaw world famous snacks. From green apple gummies to Sasquatch's Buffalo Ranch cashews, these snacks and candies have been curated from the most mysterious and undiscovered places on planet Earth. Head over to duffandshaw.com/issues today and check out all they've got and more. That's again, duffandshaw.com/issues.
Very nice. And just for, the sake of our podcast, the Sasquatch is Buffalo Ranch cashews. That's Sasquatch from Alpha Flight.
Look at that. Tying it back in, baby.
That's right. That's right. So previously we've kind of covered Wolverine with Weapon X, and we've covered X Factor with Peter David's first run, which was super fun. But
so good.
Now we're tackling like full on the X-Men. Well, kind of. So this is more like an X universe book, because at the time, how many books, like, it's like, well, there's many books, and so this one kind of covers most of them.
Yeah, so I believe at the time, I think there was 6 to 7, maybe you could argue 8, depending on, I believe you had X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, Excalibur, Wolverine, and then I believe Cable had just gotten his own series, but that had just started. And I believe Alpha Flight was still in circulation at the time. But it was coming to an end soon. And Alpha Flight really was, it's on its own island. Yeah, they were X-Men tangential, but it wasn't like if I recall. And there were, of course, miniseries and stuff to that effect kind of going on at the same time. But of the ongoings,
Maverick too was at this time too, huh?
Yeah, he had a 12 issue. It would have been around that time. It was a 12 issue. I think Jim Chung was doing the art for that. Yeah. Anyway,
then who had more like books though was like because Spider-Man had a few too, right? They had like
Spider-Man had Amazing, Spectacular, just Spider. There was Web of Spider-Man, Amazing, Spectacular, Spider-Man Adjectiveless, and there was also Spider-Man Unlimited, at the time, which had just started. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. There was an X-Men Unlimited book as well.
Right, that's kind of starts the whole. I mean, it's like a prologue a little bit.
Yeah, and those were quarterly books. So those came out like 4 issues a year. So those weren't like monthly. You had to get. They were more like standalone stories that kind of told like in fact, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but X-Men Unlimited #2 is literally about some guy just trying to assassinate Magneto. There's no action sequences. The X-Men aren't even really in it at all. I think.
Oh yeah. No, this is the one. That's the one that kind of like the prologue. Like if you look at it through Marvel Unlimited, that's like the first book they have in this crossover list.
Interesting. Well, as we kind of said,
like we're saying. This is saying that this is just more like an X universe book, really. It's not really like X-Men.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because typically crossovers tend to like bleed into each one. They're usually tightly constructed with a very strong narrative linking each book to one to the next, to the next, to the next. So it's like it ends on this cliffhanger. You got to read the next one to find out. Oh, did Archangel? What happened to Archangel? And then oh my God, Cable, what happened to him? And then oh my God, Wolverine, what happened to him? And so it's like, oh, X Factor leads into X Force, leads into Wolverine. This was a little different. I'd almost argue that this is like a non-crossover. But before we can kind of get into what that means, why don't we read the blurb on the back? Josh, do you mind tackling that?
Yeah. So this is from the hardcover omnibus collection. I'm going to try to do my trailer voice.
Nice, do it.
Excuse me. Magneto returns in the thrilling saga that commemorated the X-Men's 30th anniversary. As Magneto's acolytes amp up their attacks on Homo sapiens everywhere, the X-Team joins forces to put an end to their mad crusade against humanity. But when a mysterious disease begins creeping through the mutant community, claiming the lives of hated foe and dear friend alike, which X-Man will buckle under the strain. Events come to a head in the most unexpected way possible, culminating in a shocking attack on Wolverine and a showdown between Professor X and Magneto that must be seen to be believed. Had it until the end.
I'll give it to you. I'll still give it to you.
Tripped at the finish
Tripped
line.
at the finish line. I'll still take
missed
it,
it by that much. I give it away almost too in the blurb in the back. Like, you don't need to say the shocking attack on Wolverine.
Well, we all know. Well, I guess I assume some people don't, but yeah, like, we all know. But we'll get to that in a second. This event was the sort of culmination of several storylines that had been brewing through the X-Men universe at the time. It was released between the months of May and September of 1993. And like I said, it crossed over in all 6 of the mainline X-Men books, which is, as we said it before, X-Factor, X-Force, Uncanny, X-Men, Wolverine, and Excalibur. It was sort of billed as a celebration of the 30th anniversary of X-Men, who had kind of made their debut in 1963 with X-Men #1 that was done by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So, Josh, I have to ask you, I know you're a young buck, but I know you were alive in the 90s at some point.
I was, yeah.
Did you read this when it came out? Were you even aware of it? And if you didn't, when did you read it? Did you read it digitally, buy it in trade? How did you go about it?
So I read it, because when it came out, I was 7 at the time. So it was in comic books, but I wasn't like getting like the new comic books every month or anything like that. So this was definitely read it when I was later in life. I think I read it first digitally but I knew of the stuff that happened. I just never like fully read all the stories because, like we say, it's all over the place. So like a book you didn't think would be part of it is part of it, kind of thing. So like I didn't like fully read everything until I think around like a little bit after college. Okay. And then like now the full time too.
What was your impression of it then versus now, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it's kind of the same. It was a little disjointed. I always liked going back to like the artists that I liked like earlier in the careers. Like we get the Kuberts in this one. I think Yeah, we got the Capullo is in the doing this stuff. I think Romita JR. So it's cool like that, and it was definitely like the other. It was definitely like the other crossovers of X-Men at the time, because I was fully in. Like everybody was with when getting back into it with the Jim Lee X-Men and stuff. So it's definitely that vibe before they made that shift, like around like it was like kind of like almost after this is when they kind of made a shift like artistically, like a lot of the Madureira like looks and things like that type of look.
Roger
like this was like this was like around when they were doing the whole Lee and Kubert, those kind of thin lines and things like that. So now I guess I understand it better, and it's like it was easier to get everything at once type of thing. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of like, just kind of the same impression, really. It's fun, but it's also like, so wait, what? Like, so this is, what did this have?
I guess the question I'm really trying to get at is like, obviously there's a couple big shocking moments in this book, and we'll eventually start a spoiler warning. Were you aware of those shocks going into it? And if you weren't, do those shocks still hold up now? Is kind of what I'm kind of
So I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew the shocking stuff because I had read like the aftermath before I read this stuff.
Before like, the actual event. Okay.
So like it was interesting to see why that stuff happened. Um, but that was kind of the same thing. Like I already knew, what the the not the aftermath, just
Yeah.
what had
Well,
happened,
no,
and now just good to see why it happened.
I see.
What
Okay.
about you? Like you probably were getting it month to month from your the job you've
Oh
been
yeah,
at for
this
10
is
years
when I
already, right?
yeah, I mean, like, no, I only actually been collecting comics up to this point for a couple years, and but yeah, I mean, like everyone, it was either X-Men or it was Spider-Man or it was like whatever crappy Image comic was putting out at the time. And I remember though, but yeah, I remember buying these books like, and it was a pain in the ass to find the the Wolverine issue and the Excalibur
Mm.
issue because no one read Excalibur and the Wolverine one just sold out instantly because there's like a big shocking twist in it. Um, but yeah, I was reading the X-Men comics pretty much month to month, and actually, that's actually that Wolverine issue started off my run of Wolverine. I didn't have any. I had like maybe
Oh,
an issue or
gotcha.
two, but like 75 on is when my collection really began. And only recently I've actually kind of gone back and kind of started to fill those gaps in between 1 through 74. But yeah, when I read it at the time, I was genuinely shocked. It was like, "Oh my god." And this is like Wizard magazine era, it was like, "Oh my god," and like if you
Yeah,
missed
yeah.
the issue, you were gonna get the recap in the next month, like the shocking twist, all that kind of stuff. Um, Rereading it, knowing the twists that are coming, like, yeah, like it's still fun for me because this is a nostalgic ride for me. Like I really
Mm.
do love this era of the X-Men. That Jim Lee kind of like you said, volume 2, X-Men number 1 all the way up through, you know, I wanna say by about when Chris Claremont came back for around X-Men 100 is a real nostalgic dive for me. So I give this a lot of
Mhm.
leeway, and so you're gonna have to take a lot of what I say with a grain of salt because I definitely enjoyed the hell out of this era.
Nostalgia goggles, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that said, like, I recognize that some of it is not good. We'll get into some of the stuff I did not think was good, but, you know, um, the twists still hit sometimes, and it's interesting, and especially I don't think I've really read it since I was in high school, so, like, it
Mm.
was interesting to read it from, from a, 15-year-old point of view to, from already from point of view,
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you even remember when you were 15? It was
Yeah, I remember that. No, I
cool.
remember that more than I can clearly remember sitting at the lunch table with my other nerd friends at the time, like, "Dude,"
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I played Magic in high school too and played water polo, so I don't know what to tell
Oh
you.
goodness, yeah, you were really,
Anyway.
really going for that cred right there. Like if Magic at that time too, like if
Oh,
it
yeah.
was,
Yeah.
this is again just a reminder, like
Ice Age
'90s
at
where
4th edition, baby.
yeah, again, like a reminder that too, like at the time, like nerds now are more socially acceptable than they were at the time.
He
So
People like
you
me
paved
had
the
to
wave. You
pave
paved
the
the
way
way.
so it could be socially
Yeah.
acceptable. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, for
Um
sure.
One question I get a lot, and I legitimately do get this a lot, and that's one I actually and again just saw it on Reddit the other day is where is sort of that perfect jumping on point for the X-Men? Is this a book for that, or is this one of those things that you ever thought about? Like, oh, someone's like, hey, I want to read the X-Men. Like, I just watched X-Men '97. Where should I start? Do you? I have my version of it, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that real quick.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think this is the perfect jumping on point
Okay.
because it's so many disjointed. You start disjointedly in all the
Yeah.
different teams and everything, and even
Yeah.
I think the for if you want to get into this kind of era of X-Men and everything, it's the
Mhm.
Jim Lee,
Yeah.
X-Men Volume 2, number 1. I think that's the perfect jumping on point.
I agree with
That
you.
gives you the team that is most directly like
Known.
emulates the one from the cartoon as well. So
Yeah.
you at least have that kind of, and then all the power bases around the same too.
Yeah.
Like Rogue, her power isn't her, it's not her original power, which they could confuse people.
Mhm.
It's the the post Captain Marvel.
Oh, Carol Danvers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like power and stuff like that. So you got your teams like Gambit and all that stuff too. So it's like I think that just both from like a story wise, but also just like art and aesthetic wise too. So it's just kind of. But if if you like that and you want to get more of like the history of it, then jump into those giant
Giant size X-Men number
omnibuses
1.
of Yeah, Giant
Oh.
Size X-Men #1, or even going back to the Stan Lee books too, because you can
Yeah,
get
I
those
think
in those huge collections.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest and frank, I think you can skip most of the Stan Lee stuff. Not that it's bad or anything like that, but it's
How
very
dare you?
I dare my I do think that the best place is to jump on for most, dipping their toes in the in the water is probably the Jim Lee volume 2 as well. Although I do think if you really want to get the full breadth of it, you go back to Giant Size X-Men #1, or if you
Yeah.
want, you could maybe start with Grant Morrison's New X-Men, but there's so many stuff that he's paying off even there. But,
I think even just jumping on from the Grant Morrison's New X-Men is a little bit tough because he goes into a lot of concepts and different things that
yeah.
goes a little bit Grant Morrissey a little
Mhm.
bit. That can
And
be tough to follow a little bit, but
he's still paying off, like, a lot of storylines that were, like, from the X-Men books. It's the same with, like, House of X and Powers of X, like, the John Hickman Krakoa
yeah.
stuff. It's like there's so much stuff. It's like there's so much history and baggage. Yeah, it made it easy for not or lapsed X-Men fans to kinda jump on it, and I think that's what it was good for. Lapsed X-Men fans could just jump in, but, for someone who hasn't really read any of it, I would start with Jim Lee, and then if you really like that, go back and read a lot of the Claremont stuff. The Claremont stuff is really fun up to
Mhm.
that point. I
Yeah,
mean, honestly,
yeah.
that was the one thing I will say about '80s X-Men comics is, like, because it is Chris Claremont, you could pretty much pick up any issue, and he's gonna explain it to you 5 times before the plot is over that, Wolverine is
Yeah.
the best at what he does, and what he does isn't very nice, and it's like and he's gonna over explain everybody's powers, so and it was because that was the era. You had to assume no one read a comic book, and you had to,
For
read
sure.
it, and so
Every
you
every
could
issue was a #1 issue.
yeah, in a weird way it was. So if you wanted to, anything that's like that in that Claremont era, just pick it up and like check it out. You're gonna get it. You'll realize there's obviously story before and there's gonna be story after, but if you really are just like, I want a clean start, Jim Lee 1 or volume 2, X-Men #1.
Yeah.
Um, this kind of leads me. I know we're this is kind of long-winded, but I really kind of want to set the stage for like why X-Men is different. Another question I want to ask you is like, what do you th- what do you think separates X-Men comics from other books, other team books specifically, like the Avengers, even Spider-Man for that matter, even though that's not a team book, but whether it's Avengers or FF or even the
Mhm.
Justice League, why is it that, Wolverine and company have uh been I won't say successful, it is obviously successful. Well, why do you think what stand makes them stand out from other books, do you think?
Yeah, that one's it's a little tough in a sense of like, these are heroes that are literally born into their powers a little bit,
Yeah.
and so you have that, and I think there's a plethora of them,
Mhm.
and it seems like um a lot of people gravitate towards them because it's the outsiders of the
Yeah.
group, like they're
Yeah.
even outsiders in their own universe in a little
Yeah.
bit. And
Well, it's
I think it's like kind of what like gravitated people towards Spider-Man too, because he was like the outsider nerd and he was a
sure.
hero, and now these people are like the ultimate outsiders who are just trying to
Survive.
survive, but also be a hero in a world that hates
Fears and
them.
hates them. Fears and hates them.
Yeah, fears and hates them. So there's that inherent conflict of morality of just their characters that is very intriguing to a lot of people, and
Well,
they're just so damn cool. So
yeah,
it's
I was gonna say to that point, you brought up the characters, it made me realize I'm like, there is like the plethora of characters rather. You always found someone that was your X-Men. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, that you identified or not necessarily or you saw yourself in or you wanted to be, if that makes any sense. I didn't even think of that until you said that right now. It's
yeah,
interesting.
or even just like everybody has their own X-Men team
Yeah, it's true
too.
too.
I think it's a little bit different. Avengers have changed their teams so many times as well, but X-Men
There's a sense of
has like so
ownership
many different.
though.
Yeah, but also there's like so many different teams at the same time. Like
Yeah.
Avengers, like that most at the same time. Avengers had Avengers and Avengers West Coast, I think, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Until
but X Men
recently, but
has six different teams at one time, and even
yeah, but
some of
even like I
these are
said to
just like
that, you don't ever say which Avenger which is your Avenger. You don't say it because it's like
right,
Captain America has his own book. So it's like Captain America is an Avenger, but he's also Cap.
right,
Thor has his own book. Iron Man has his own book. Et cetera, et cetera. With the exception of Wolverine and occasionally Gambit, like the X-Men
Cable.
are on the X-Men team, Cable too, but, like, you always had that, like, for example, what's your X-Men? Who's your favorite X-Men? Like, who do you not
Oh,
identify
who's
with, but who.
mine?
Yeah.
Oof. Alex Extreme. No.
Adam Extreme.
Yeah, Adam Extreme. That's what his name. Or Leech. No. It's um. I've always, I don't know. I've always liked Cyclops.
That's cool,
Just
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I like he's the leader of the group. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He's always underestimated. And I think
Yes.
within the whole of Marvel as well, because
Yeah.
everybody gravitates towards Wolverine as the cool. I mean, it's like
No.
Cyclops is the leader for a reason. In
Yeah.
like
Well,
tactically, he's up there with Captain America or
Cap.
even more. So I mean, it's just kind of
I think they say, like, best, like, Cyclops is a better strategist and Cap is a better battlefield commander. Like, he can
yeah,
like, Cap can see the battlefield and figure out how to win. Cyclops can look at the whole war and say, "This is how we're gonna win this war," kinda thing. Like, like, that's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
the
yeah.
difference of the 2, but, in fact, it was really funny. I think it was the Phoenix comic that was going on, the Jean Grey Phoenix comic, and, like, one point, Carol Danvers is there, and, like, Phoenix is like, "You're one of the best strategists I know," and I'm like, are you forgetting your husband or Cap? Like, wait a minute, like, actually, Carol Danvers is not a good strategist. That's why Civil
Mm-mm.
War II happened.
Yeah,
But I was like,
and
"Okay."
she's a pilot. She's not supposed to be a good strategist.
Yeah,
She goes off at instinct and then reactions.
yeah.
So it's
It's the
not.
Hal Jordan of it all. It's the Hal Jordan,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
Anyway.
one of my favorite like Cyclops quotes is just um, like somebody was like, "Oh, so that didn't work. So I guess we're on to Plan B." He's like, "Plan B was like 20 plans ago. We're on plan
Yeah.
like X or Y." Like, so he's like, "Yeah, this is." And he just said that like with a smile, like, "Yeah, this is like I plan for almost everything, dude."
Yeah. There was I think it was, I think I wanna say it was Brian K. Vaughan, and I think Mark Texeira, they did a Cyclops miniseries in the mid-2000s, and it opens with, like, him saying, like, "Ronald Reagan said, 'I'm not a smart leader. I surround myself with smart people, though.'" And it's like, "I never believed that. You have to be a smart leader." So to that effect, I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's
yeah.
great."
And and there's other like moments too, like we've talked about this too, like when he was stranded in the desert or something, and
Oh,
this
X-Men
is
45
his
was post, Age of Apocalypse, I think it was.
yeah,
I
and
think it was one of the
then
best issues for Cyclops, period.
and he was great in Ultimate X-Men too, the OG Ultimate X-Men, where he
Yeah.
was stranded after being kind of uh thrown off a cliff basically,
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff
Well,
like that. So it's just great.
yeah, the other thing I was gonna say to all that is, like, I think what also makes the X-Men books stand out versus most other books is that the X-Men are about change.
Hmm.
Not only just as in themselves, they're evolving, obviously, but it's like their books constantly are evolving. They're constantly going through, like, changes. Characters are constantly getting through the ringer and being changed. From Archangel, Angel becoming Archangel, from Wolverine, getting the bone claws to, Storm being
Spoiler.
de-aged, yes, and well, we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, Storm getting de-aged and back, back
Mhm.
to full, full human form. The team constantly evolving and changing,
Jean Grey
like
alone.
Jean Grey alone, yeah, the Phoenix, and you got like the Siege Perilous and Age of Apocalypse, and like all these things that just constant change. And so it's literally the most soap opera-y comic book out of like a
Yeah.
normal soap opera. It's always about the change. In fact, when the book becomes stagnant and it is status quo for that book, is when I think things start to fall apart for the book. But that's just me. I think why, you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, the change for better or for worse too.
yes, that is very true.
Excuse me.
That is very true.
I mean, like of the Krakoa stuff.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot that was a lot of change,
Yeah, but I'm
some of
just
it was
saying
very good.
change from that.
Yeah,
After
that's true.
that is what I mean. Like
Well, that's what I
it
mean, like, I think
already.
yeah, they need another change is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, sometimes they don't let stuff sit for a while, and sometimes that can be detrimental. Like,
That's
again, like
true. Yeah.
Krakoa stuff, or what would they so they've had Krakoa, they've had Utopia, they've had
That's
Genosha.
yeah.
Everything ends with an A. And then Professor X has been gone. Cyclops is running the school. Wolverine's running his own
Wolverine was
school.
running the school. Well, the X-Men were young. They got sucked in from the future, from the past, and with Bendis' stuff. And Cyclops is a
Yeah,
terrorist during that time.
right.
Yeah,
And then
Magneto's good. He becomes bad again. Then
right,
he's good again, and then he has a clone, and then turns out he's Zorn, and then it's just like
right. Or
it's
something
all about
happens, and he's just like, I'm done being good again, and yeah,
yeah. Now I'm in a wheelchair. It's like okay.
yeah.
Um. So as we get into the main topic for the today's show, just kind of a lot of more of a background on this in case you're not an X-Men guy or gal or whoever. Um, let's talk a little bit about the brief history of X-Men comics leading into Fatal Attractions. Um, as we said, this is sort of like the 30th anniversary, and it was 1993. And if you didn't, we didn't know it at the time, and I was a part of this. The comic book bubble was about to burst. I mean, sales had never been higher for comic books. Maybe been the golden age. And when I said the golden age, like when Superman #1 was out and they were selling millions of books on the newsstand or whatever. Maybe comics were selling better then, but at this point, comics are hot and they're about to pop. It's about to the collectibles market aspect of it is about to collapse and things are about to get really, really bad. Especially,
Mm.
the image defection, which we've talked about before. That's when, Liefeld and Mark McFarlane and Lee and all of those cats left to form Image Comics from Marvel. And initially everything is kind of hunky dory until they stop hitting their deadlines because they're more worried about being celebrities and stars and selling their movie properties and actually putting out the comic book that they're supposed to be making.
Right.
So that leads to a little bit of this. You also at the time have the death of Superman and Return as well. And man, again, sales had never been higher. Everyone's in there because they know, oh my God, I'm going to buy the death of
Yeah.
Superman because it's going to put my kids through college. And it's just like,
Yeah. I have to get
oh,
the black bag one.
yeah. So I mean, but about 93, X-Men comics are still big, but they're not as big as they used to be. In fact, I went through and I looked at the numbers and compared to 1992's numbers, they're pretty much selling about half of what they were doing. I mean,
Hmm.
hell, X-Men 2099 #1, which came out in 93, sold better than almost every other X-Men comic that year, with the exception of X-Men 300, the 300 hologram issue.
That's pretty
Um,
crazy. And it's
yeah,
crazy that it had to be a hologram issue.
Yeah, it had to be. Well, and here's what's even crazier. So the previous year in '92, all of the Executioner song stuff, that was the crossover that happened in '92. All of those were top selling books. All of those were in the
Mhm.
top 50. I think the first issue of Fatal Attractions is number 35 in the top 100 list of the year. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. And
Yeah.
they recognize that, X-Men editorial realized oh, things are not hot. It's not as hot as it used to be. Um, it's just, this sort of kind of set the stage of where we are in the '90s at this point. Again, hologram covers are all the rage. Do you remember do you have a favorite hologram cover that you had from that era?
Oh gosh, no, I don't. I don't. I just remember them. I don't remember a favorite one. I just remember it was just cool to see it because you
Mhm.
see them in
Yeah.
the trading cards as well, and
Yeah.
it was a cool gimmick that was used. But I don't have a favorite one that
Oh,
comes to mind.
well, I was gonna say I'm gonna not lie. I bought into a lot of the foil and
Of
hologram
course
stuff,
you
whether
did.
it was the Spider-Man 30th anniversary ones, or if it was
Hmm.
the Silver Surfer stuff, or even Doctor Strange had 'em. I think Guardians of the Galaxy had a couple themselves.
Yeah, and that started with Spider-Man, right? The
The
Spider-Man.
holograms?
I'm just the collectible covers of the same
Yes, yes, yeah. Well, I
book.
think it predates that. I think technically it's, Legends of the Dark Knight #1 because there was
Mhm.
5 now the cover was exactly the same except for the cover itself, the color was either blue or yellow or pink or something like that.
Oh
I
goodness.
that was the only because it was like a black silhouette of the Batman with, Legends of the Dark Knight #1, and I think there's 5 different covers, but they're like, "Wait a minute here." Some guys, bought all of them. That's 5 times the
Yeah.
sales, and that
Yeah,
led into that.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that led at least with Spider-Man #1 that, Todd McFarlane relaunched Spider-Man,
That's
at
what
least,
yeah.
some of it was different, some of it was poly bags, some of it was, silver webs, some of it was golden webs, it's that very famous shot of Spider-Man, all the webs, it's a great issue
Right.
cover, it's just But yeah, and I think, oh, one was gonna be exclusive to Walmart, and then the direct market got really pissed off, like, well, we got to give them, and it was like a whole thing. And that, of
Yeah,
course,
it's
led
kind of
to
like what they did with DVDs when they started doing like later in the DVD life, where it was
oh,
you had a Target specific
oh yeah,
DVD
yeah,
version, and then a Walmart specific with like different little
yeah,
extra scenes or just
yeah, yeah.
DVD extras.
No, like a bonus pack from Best Buy. You have to buy Lost from
Right.
Best Buy because it's got an extra scene that didn't show up on the Walmart version.
Right.
Slowly deleted scene or an alternate take. Yeah, all that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, X-Force did the same thing. Everything was polybag, same cover, but different trading card. And then that's when it really blew the wheels off the car when Jim Lee did 4 different covers for X-Men #1, plus the
Right.
gatefold cover, which was the 5th cover, cover E. Yeah, and that was like it was after that, it was off to the races, man. And that's why we have blind bags right now and every other damn thing
Yeah.
under the sun. It's not like that. It's not like we haven't been through this cycle before, but anyway.
Life's a circle, man.
Yeah, life is a flat circle. Well, the reason I bring this up is because, all these issues for Fatal Attractions were all wraparound cardstock covers, but were all embossed with a hologram, a trading card sized hologram with like one character, like in the X Factor issue, I believe it's Havoc, what was it, Cables on the X Force one. I want to say it's Magneto on Uncanny, Gambit on X-Men, Wolverine with Wolverine, obviously, and then I think Nightcrawler's on the Excalibur issue.
Wait,
Um,
Wolverine was the hologram on Wolverine?
I know, who would
Nuh-uh.
have thunk it, right? I know, right?
What? No.
Yeah. But I will say, as gimmicks go, they've never replicated that since, and I kinda love it.
Mhm.
Like, or if they have, I don't remember it. Like, I kinda love those covers. They really do pop and stand out. I was reading, like, a article about it, how they did it. They actually had, like, Capullo and Kubert and all them draw a sketch, and then a guy literally created, like, a little figurine, like, he like a
Hmm.
pewter statue or something like that, and then they photographed it to make the hologram for it. So it's actually based on a physical, like, model,
Yeah,
you
that's
know what I
pretty
mean?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Um, as we had mentioned earlier, this crossover versus other crossovers is kind of different. Um, like at the time, I think, like I said, we had Death of Superman and Return of Superman. You've got Maximum Carnage, which was Spider Man's big crossover event. You got Nightfall happening over in the Batman books. Executioner Song and Extinction Agenda, and Fall of the Mutants, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff that happened. But as we said, like all of those books, like each event kind of bleeds into the next. It always ends like almost on a
Yeah.
cliffhanger. You got to buy issue, 47 of this book, and then you got to go buy issue 58 of this book, and then 512 of that one, whatever. This book's a little different. Would you say, Josh?
Oh no, it's very different because it wasn't like we're saying like you were saying they weren't necessarily connected by a linear storyline. It was like
Yeah.
a bunch of different like moments or storylines delved into just like one general theme almost,
Yeah.
which was anti Magneto
Mhm.
in the Acolytes. Like yeah, Executioner Song, like everything you had everybody show up in the other books as well,
Mhm.
where most of these other books they're not really there's not a lot of crossover. Like
Yeah.
in X Factor, there in the first X Men, there's no crossover with the other X Men, right? Like
Nope.
it's not,
Nope.
and that's part of the crossover. At least there's been some uh like I don't know, an Executioner Song. Even though you had the
Well,
New Mutant, it was the New Mutants book. Like you had all the other X Men in the same thing, so
yeah,
it's just
not
kind of
even
like
just
all
that,
over the
and
place.
I was gonna say not only just that, but it's like, you kind of you mentioned X Factor Song. It's like the X Factor book didn't even have X Factor in the book. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like it was like, oh, this is gonna be the Bishop, Wolverine, and Cable series or something like that. It
Yeah.
literally was just like those like plot points just kind of followed through. I will say I think in some of the earlier crossover events like Fall of the Mutants or Massacre or whatever, um, some of the storylines would just kind of stay concurrent. It was like, oh, all these bad things are happening to mutants at the same time, but the story kind of you could follow it, just Uncanny X-Men and not have to worry about like what was happening in X Factor. But even that still is like you still need to read the next issue to find out what plot points happened.
You know what it reminds me. This is how it felt to me. All right, here. I'm blow a mind right now. Hopefully, I'll blow your mind. These were tie-ins without the actual event. Like these are the tie-ins, but there's no event to tie into. Like these are all the tie-ins.
That's a good way to look at it, actually.
Like, yeah, and there's these are all just the tie-ins because, like, oh, hey, this is like in the theme of it, and this is like tangentially part of it.
Where was the Magneto? Really. Where was the Magneto book that should have been running through the whole thing?
Right, exactly. I mean? It's like it just it's maybe a tie-in to one issue. Like everything tied in, or like is to one specific issue, not to one event. If that makes sense, like that one X-Men issue.
Yeah, the X-Men ties right into Wolverine, and that's it. I mean,
really
like, there's some plot points, but like the only and I would argue, and we'll get into it. There's only 3 books you really need to read in this series. I mean, you should read them all, obviously, but there's only 3. Well, so let's get into like the build up to Fatal Attractions, because there is, again, I'm not going to get into the 30 years of X-Men before all this, but there are some key points you kind of need to know before you read this book.
Here's the build up. X-Men number 1, 1963. And then after that, X-Men number 2, 1963.
Let's start with Magneto. Obviously, this book is all about Magneto and the people who worship him. I'm not going to explain who Magneto is. He's obviously the master of magnetism. He's the Malcolm X to Professor Xavier's
MLK Jr.
MLK. That said, at this point in X-Men mythology, he's presumed dead. At the end of the 3rd issue of the Jim Lee run of X-Men, he's presumed dead and blew up with Asteroid M after trying to, I don't even know what the hell he was trying to do.
He was fighting the X-Men. Use it or something to destroy the Earth or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I literally read those issues just as a precursor to all this. I'm like, yeah, the art is beautiful. It is Jim Lee at peak Jim Lee, but it's also like Chris Claremont's like final issue. And like, I had to talk about this for a second. I love that like Chris Claremont had been writing X-Men and ostensibly made X-Men what they are today because of Chris Claremont. He'd been writing for 15 years. All he gets is, Stan Lee and Marvel proudly present Chris Claremont's final issue at the top of the issue 3, like literally in the opening Chiron. And then at the end, there's like, C is like Chris Claremont was like CC 1979 to 1991 or something like that. It was all they gave him was like a little blurb on like
Marvel was weird at that time.
What's that?
I'm just saying that like the editorial and just reading that book, that Marvel book, just the behind the scenes people were just weird and like egotistical at the time. It's crazy.
Well, it's because at the time, like Jim Lee was the superstar, Todd McFarlane was the superstar, and Marvel was like, these are the superstars. And then of course Marvel got effed by promoting these guys, and these cats, cool, we're gonna take all that fame you just gave us and make our own company. And it's just so funny though. It's like this Claremont had been writing a book for 15 plus years and like literally defined the book, and they just gave him like a little blurb, 20, this to that, and like it was like, oh, cool. I mean, he would come back, but
so from that, he's so jaded that he's like, I'll come back, but now every book I'm going to talk about Psylocke and Rachel Summers.
Exactly.
I don't care how or what happens; they are somehow going to be connected to it.
Yeah, exactly. So he dies in that issue. Magneto dies on Asteroid M after fighting the X-Men and pissing off the Earth. Or so we think. It's then very much implied through all of the books leading up to Fatal Attraction that no, he's very much alive. There's X-Men Unlimited #1 where they crash the Blackbird into Antarctica, and Sienna Blaze does, and she's like, where's, she's like, I get points for killing, there's like, no, 4 of the most powerful mutants are still alive. She's like, wait a minute, I thought it was 3 because it was Storm, Cyclops, and Professor X. What do you mean 4? And it's like, oh yeah, it's clearly because someone also goes into the snow, saves Professor X, and then puts him back on the plane. It's like, oh gee, who could that have been?
Right.
So it's very
No
much
wonder.
implied, Magneto's very alive, but he's still kind of thematically, at this point, the same kind of Magneto he was in at the end of Chris Claremont's run, because Claremont had spent like years rehabilitating him, making him like a victim of the Nazis and turning him into a
Yeah,
good guy. Go
just
ahead.
in case, Joe, just in case you didn't know that, Magneto, um, what his history involves the Nazis and surviving Nazi. Just read this book because they mention it almost every time he talks.
That's true.
I
They
swear,
do.
it should be a drinking game of every time they mention it, even in the X Factor. Even Magneto's not even the X Factor issue, and they talk about like Nazis and the Holocaust, like almost the whole book.
Well, to be fair, that issue is all about genetic cleansing, and people are like, wait,
100%.
maybe should
100%.
we be doing genetic cleansing in Magneto's name, considering he was also like his family was killed by Nazis? I'm like,
Right, right.
it's like it literally is. I
No,
think
but
that's
I
a
mean,
little line in the book.
yeah. No, for sure, for sure. I'm just saying,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
we get it. Like I
Yeah.
understand it. Like, and
No,
it's of course it's a big character trait, but if it's every time he
well,
talks, pretty
I think
much.
it's because it's again, you got to assume at this point, this is still the era of comics where assume they've never read an issue before, and they're
But it's
never
also
gonna read
within
it.
the same issue. Like
I
I'm
know,
saying,
I know,
like
dude.
every time he talks in the issue.
Yeah. There's some weak moments in these issues, and we will get into that. But yeah, he was rehabilitated by Claremont, and then like Jim Lee decided I want to make him a villain again. And Claremont's like, whatever. Literally, Claremont was like, I don't
Hey,
care.
second one, man.
And he
So,
literally is like, I'm gonna write these last 3 issues, get a huge paycheck, and I'm out. I'm done. Yeah, and so he kind of turns into sort of like isolationist, like I want to be left alone. Why are these acolytes coming to me? I don't want anymore. And then they get killed in front of him. He's like, how dare you kill mutants? And he goes all aggro. As we mentioned, he was a teacher for the New Mutants. Like he raised, he helped Cannonball and Ileana and Sunspot and all those New Mutants. At one point, he literally had been reverted to a baby and then genetically and then brought back to adulthood. And Moria McTaggart, the sort of geneticist of the X-Men universe, like altered his DNA and he got super pissed about that. So it's, that's what's kind of going on in Magneto's head. He's full of rage and,
he's
no one's going to calm him down.
yeah, big surprise with all the stuff that's happened with him. Goodness.
Well, I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Nazis killed his family. Okay. So
No
you might,
way. They never mentioned that
they
before at
never
all in
mentioned
the
that
book.
before. Jesus Christ, we're making Nazi jokes at this point.
Well, it's not more just it's not Nazi joke. It's just more just them mentioning the
No, I
Nazis the
know.
whole time. Like
Yeah,
we get it. I
to be
understand.
fair, I am wearing an anti-Nazi shirt right now too, so fuck Nazis.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think it needs to be said. Yeah, fuck Nazis. But it's just like
but why not?
I know, kind of yeah.
Let's relate into one of the acolytes we were talking about before, specifically Fabian Cortez. You want to tackle him for a second there, Josh?
Yeah, well, yeah. So he's the lead. Like, I don't know if you can say he's the leader of the Magneto's acolytes because you would think that Magneto would be the leader of the acolytes, but he's
Well,
kind of like the fill-in.
he is the leader. He is the leader up until you find out Magneto is still alive.
Oh yeah. He's like the fill-in. He's the substitute teacher, really, or
Well,
he's the Dwight Schrute of
yeah, to watch
acolytes.
it's a really well because he so if you don't know, like in X-Men 3, like when Magneto dies, Fabian's like, I'm out of here. Like they're about to blow this thing
Yeah,
up. I'm out, wee. And he's like, and then he tells all the mutants, like, hey, I was chosen by Magneto to live. I'm
right.
obviously the person to take over. Follow me because I am, Magneto, even though he literally tried to kill Magneto and then hightails it out of there like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
Um,
and he comes from like I don't know some royal lineage or something like that, and his
yeah.
mutant ability really is just to like amplify other mutants.
Which
And
that is the stupidest
no,
ability. Like,
let's talk about the acolytes in a sense. They are
okay,
like
sorry.
the rejects of like
Yeah,
like X-Men or just mutant teams. It's like the people who tried out for like the Brotherhood of Mutants and didn't make
got
that
rejected.
team got
Yeah.
rejected and just decided to make their own team. Like we're gonna have our own Magneto team. Like they this is a team where Toad is like better than all the whole Acolyte thing. It's
but
crazy.
He should have got rejected. He got rejected though when Exodus is like, when
Exodus is like the exception that proves the rule because he's super powerful telepath, telekinetic, but like the Acolytes are just like the what's the best way? It's not even
here's the best way to describe them. Their names are Mellencamp, Kleinstock, Cargill, Frenzy, which she was in X Factor, but still, Vought, Amelia Vought. I mean, like the fact that like it's the Kleinstock triplets, and then what it's the Kleinstock twins. I'm like, their names are Kleinstock. Okay,
it's so,
Mellencamp, like John Cougar Mellencamp, because you look like a monster. Like, what's going on?
Right.
Yeah, they're definitely
just the lame. Like it's like Magneto is just like Magneto just looks at him just like them. Really? Whatever.
Yeah. So yeah. Fabian is leading these cats, and the other thing he's also it's a subplot that you find out before. He's also trying to gain leadership of another group called the Upstarts, which is a bunch of overly privileged mutants who are getting points from a character called the Games Master to kill other mutants. And because he killed Magneto, he's currently in the lead of the Upstarts. God, I can't believe I just said that.
Yeah, well, I can't believe they wrote it. So it's, but again, the Acolytes are just the rejects of the rejects, and you just kind of like, it seems like
Spore.
It's like
Spore's another one.
Spore. Yeah, goodness, he's the British Sasquatch or something like that.
Yeah, Wolfman. Yeah,
Wolfman, who's not even without any of the charm of Rain Sinclair.
Yeah,
Rain Sinclair.
Wolfbane.
Yeah, they're like the Bad News Bears without any of the charm or any of the actual getting better.
It's good, man. Well, with that leads us to like one little piece of business, like Colossus and the Legacy virus.
Yeah, Colossus, funny enough, joins the Acolytes, but
spoiler.
Spoiler, but
at this point.
At this point, we're just kind of I'm assuming people have read it by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colossus at this point, because what's funny is I think normally he's a happy-go-lucky, and not happy-go-lucky, excuse me, but he's just kind of like he's
peace-loving.
He's peace-loving, but he's also kind of known as like kind of the heart of the team a lot.
Yeah, he's an artist,
Yeah. Which I mean, if you read one of the issues, he just starts to burn all his stuff.
Yeah, I hated that moment. By the way,
was so bad. Yeah, but
emo Colossus.
Right, and he first joined in Giant X-Men #1, and he's the son of some Russian farmers who has a family, and he has a brother and a sister, and all three are mutants too, and he
Mikhail.
at the time the start, this is again after Executioner Song, and at the end of Executioner Song there is a virus that gets a plague that's put out, and from Strife as like his legacy, and he it's is an allegory. Some people think it was an allegory to AIDS, but it's
I thought it was.
Yeah. I don't think it was ever like explicitly said, but it's.
I think it's implied pretty heavily.
It's very implied
heavily.
Yeah, and it's all just a lot of the symptoms and everything. But it's a deadly virus that specifically attacks mutants at first. It kind of evolves to it does mutate, pun intended, to some humans as well, like Moira McTaggart is like one of the first ones. But it's a virus that takes out or it's contracted and takes out a lot of mutants, or like really changes them. Like what Pyro is taken out, dies from it. Multiple Man, or at least one of his dupes does. Ileana, which we'll discuss just her impact, but then Avalanche is another big one. Moira, like I said, Maverick, who we've talked. Right. He got hit by the Legacy virus, but like his Weapon X healing factor puts it in remission, and with that, he kind of gains his powers back.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of his body goes like through a restart, and that's where he gets like. At first, he was just like a weapons expert in with some healing factor and stuff, but then he does that, and then he has that kind of like
His
he's
ability
like
like to absorb kinetic energy or something like that.
yeah, he was like a mix of bishop and strongman, where he
okay,
strongman, where he
guy.
absorb strong guy, excuse me, where he absorbs like the kinetic energy, and he can recontrol it like as like a blast or something. So
okay, that's right. That's
like
right.
heat and things like that. So it's like a mix of that. But yeah, so the legacy virus. So at the beginning of this, is Elanya has contracted it, and she is dying, and eventually does die. And that's what kind of puts. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm saying that's what brings Colossus over the edge, because he's like, I've done all this, and I've lost all my family.
Because his parents had died in a farm. Oh no, his parents were killed by the government, I believe. Mikhail, his older brother, dies. Ilyana dies from legacy virus. He also gets attacked by. It was funny we should bring this up. Remember we mentioned last week the Blood Ties comic books. So the Marvel annual for Uncanny X-Men number 17 was the Executioner. And he uses all various weapons of X-Men villains to Shi'ar spears, and he slashes Colossus, and Colossus is forced to stay in armored form, because if he comes out of armored form, he'll die instantly. But it's also like supposedly warped his brain a little bit too in the process.
Yeah.
So he's not too happy, and and then of course, like you just said, 303 is when Ilyana dies, and not only does she die, he's on a mission for, I believe, Professor X at the time, and gets back to find out his sister's dead. He wasn't even there at her deathbed, and so he's not doing too well at this point.
He's pretty pissed. I mean,
he's,
you know what? He kind of with some
understandableness.
Understandable reason.
Yes, he absolutely was. His depiction and how some of this happened, and which we'll get to when we get to 304. But let's start with X. But anyway, that's to give you a little preamble, and there's going to be a little bit more as we get through each issue, just because, like, you'll see. But let's start off with part 1, X Factor 92, The Man Who Wasn't There. It's written by Scott Lobdell, art by Joe Quesada. Again, some of the basic things you need to know. If you haven't listened to our episode on X Factor, do it now.
X Factor. If you haven't, then what the hell are you doing here? Go listen to that episode. It's awesome. It's about Peter David, and then it's great.
X Factor is the sort of government version of the X-Men. One of the things you need to know is Quicksilver, aka Magneto's son, is on the team.
Quicksilver's Magneto's son?
Well,
he doesn't mention that ever.
He does not mention 3 times in that issue. The only other thing you need to know as a plot point is that their liaison at this point, Val Cooper, the government liaison, she's been mind controlled by some kind of unknown entity, which we'll then find out it was an acolyte that they infected her with some kind of whatever, Josh, take it away.
Yeah. I shall. And so the issue, though, does begin with the acolytes kind of slaughtering humans in a hospital as a gist of like just taking out what they call flat scans, and X Factor's investigating that and find out that like the acolytes are going to attack a military base next from like a nurse or something that was
Spore. The nurse tells them what happened.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. And the
aforementioned Spore.
Spore, yeah. And he kind of gives up the plan because of Quicksilver being the
Messiah's son.
Yeah.
That's again mention number 1, Magneto's son.
Yeah, in case you didn't know. Actually, like anytime Quicksilver's in a book, it seems to be his one trait. Not his speed, but he's Magneto's son.
And he's arrogant.
Yeah, I think it's like it's funny how they mention it so much with him, but not that much with Scarlet Witch. It's kind of funny. But Val takes only Quicksilver and the mutant bounty hunter Random, who again one of my favorites, to intervene, and the rest of the team is just like no, we're going with you.
Yeah, we're going anyway.
Yeah,
We'll
we're
see you
not gonna
there.
just take
We'll see you
two
wherever you land.
people. Yeah, we're not gonna just take two people and then like not tell us what's going on. Um, so they find out that this military base, which they thought at first was like a
An abandoned, not abandoned, but
abandoned, like like low security, nothing
yeah.
there, like no consequence or anything. Like the base is just like, why are they attacking this? And soon find out that it's actually a secret sentinel factory that's just housing like the next
Well, it's like
like
every Sentinel that's ever existed. They have every single model of it there so they can
yeah, well they're trying
Project
to
Wide
like,
Awake.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they're trying to like combine or see like what works with this one works. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the what's leading up to like Nimrod, because you know
Yeah.
like Nimrod's the sentinel of the future. And they end up fighting
Of course,
acolytes fight
you
with
gotta
the
fight.
X Factor.
You gotta
Yeah, you
fight.
gotta fight, which is actually a pretty good fight. Like they had that like brutal moment too, right? Like with multiple man.
Oh, that is honestly one of my favorite moments in the book. Like, so
Mhm.
it's Joe Quesada doing the art, which I gotta say, like, I know some people say he's inconsistent. I absolutely love Joe Q's artwork, especially in this book. As a
Mhm.
editor, as a writer, as a lot of other things, I can take him or leave him. But I will
Right.
argue that when Quesada is hitting, dude is hitting. And there's a great moment where Mellencamp, the infamous acolyte Mellencamp, literally starts to gouge out. I mean, it is visceral. Like, it starts to gouge out one of the eyes of multiple man's dupes, and he's like screaming at him to stop, or he'd stop, and he just like punches him right, like, because he fist into the mouth, like in down his throat, and then slams his fist and creates a duplicate inside of Mellencamp and just explodes him from inside. Just like the duplicate is
Yeah.
just dripping with guts.
Basic doing the Ant-Man Thanos,
Yeah,
theory with a dupe, basically, which was crazy.
it was cool, for lack of a better way to say it, but it
Yeah, it was
was. I mean,
cool.
yeah, it's
Yeah, no, for
edgy, and
sure.
it was just like, "Whoa, that's not been done before in X-Men comics." You know?
Yeah. Which it's very inventive. Like yeah, it's something you don't think like, oh yeah, that's kind of that's
Yeah, that'll
nuts.
work. That'll work.
Yeah. So from that, everybody's like freaked out. No, but it just like ultimately like the acolytes retreat, and X Factor kind of like, Val, what the frick is going on? Like
With the Sentinels,
you
yo.
you you knew about this. Oh, and also a big factor or just a big name that was in that, and it's a government thing. Senator Kelly
Oh,
is
Senator Kelly's
there.
there. Great, yeah.
Yeah, everybody loves Senator Kelly, and so they confront Val about it, and then they find out that she was mind controlled, but she still knew about the Sentinels
Yeah.
at the time, and then
Pre-mind control, yeah.
pre mind control, and so they're just like, yeah, whatever, you're not with us, like for something that is takes out all is set to hunt our kind. Are you really with us, or are you just kind of like you're
Yeah.
just like, what was the whole thing, like following orders?
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
reference to Nazi
Yep,
stuff.
yep, yep, yep. I think he
And
drops Nuremberg. He says Nuremberg trials, like
right, exactly, yes. And then it ends with even though he doesn't like the word, Quicksilver calls her a flat scan.
yeah.
Um
Well, they're a bunch
and
of GCs, you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Genetically challenged. No,
Genetically challenged, yeah.
what were your thoughts? This is part one. The only kind of like, other than the fact that it's like, the acolytes and the references to Magneto and all that, you do get the first appearance of Exodus, but it's such a brief like cameo where he's like literally floating by as they
Right.
fly by. Who's that cat? I don't know. Oh, he flew away. Cool. File
Yeah.
that under M for mystery. Let's keep going. Um,
It's not
what are your
needed.
thoughts about this?
Really,
Yeah,
it wasn't
not
needed. I
needed.
don't know why it was part of it. It has nothing to do with the only thing that has to do with Magneto is that the acolytes and the and Quicksilver. There wasn't like
Yeah,
they weren't going to find something to help Magneto or
yeah,
anything like that. They were just going there to just kill
yeah.
people and find sentinels, which that was even just kind of disjointed too. Like
Well,
why? Why? What
Yeah.
let
I
like
mean,
why fight that hospital when there's no like connection from that to the Sentinel thing? It's not like
yeah.
there was information there that they needed
Yeah,
to
that was
get to
just
the
genetic
Sentinel
cleansing, quote
warehouse.
unquote.
Yeah,
I mean, the only through line is like not through line, but Cortez does mention the other plot was to get Quicksilver to join their team for some reason. Like they thought somehow Quicksilver would be cool. I'm you know what?
yeah,
I get along with my dad, which he does not. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna join a bunch of his fanatics. Like, it's like Cortez, what was your plan here, pal? Like, did you
right.
really think in any world Quicksilver was like, you know what? I like what you did in that hospital, just killing people. I know we're for the
Right.
government. I'd stop this normally, but you know what? I think I like what I see. All right, I'm
Yeah.
on board.
And
You
my
know?
dad has been so good to me. I'm going to join him right away, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that while there I in the world of X Factor, it's totally great. Like if you're reading X Factor, it's like, oh, this is cool. Like, wow, this is a culmination of like a lot of some of the storylines that are happening with like Val Cooper, some of the stuff that's going on with Multiple Man and Quicksilver. Because like Quicksilver at this point is going through some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
so like it's kind of cool to see that kind of pay off. The humor is still pretty consistent with the Peter David run that was beforehand, but as, like, a crossover or in the event, like, you take it or leave
It was
it.
an X Factor issue, not a Fatal Attractions issue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which, again, this is kinda my point with this event is, like, I will legitimately say 50% of the book you could cut out and it wouldn't have really been noticed,
Yeah.
but it's not bad. It's not, and that's not to say it's a bad issue. Like, I really enjoy this issue, and like I said, I love the art,
Yeah.
it's just, it's as an event goes, maybe. I wouldn't say I have an issue with it, but, you don't
But
need this issue. Ew.
I think we do have issues with it.
There we go.
Hey, it's like when they say the name of the movie in the
And the
movie.
thing. They said the thing.
Yeah.
That leads us into part 2, X-Force
Or
25.
does it lead us into part two?
No, it doesn't
Let's
actually
just
at
say
all.
part
You're
two
right.
just happens.
It just happens. It's like, yeah, but yeah, X-Force 25. It is technically part 2. It's the next chapter,
Right.
but again, doesn't matter. Written by Fabian Nicieza. Did I say that right? I had the pronouncer on the side.
think so. Yeah, I think
I'm gonna
so.
go with it. And art by the ever awesome Greg Capullo, actually doing
Right.
some work here, man. Like, cat's been in the biz for 30 plus years now and still killing it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his stuff on that Wolverine book that he did
Oh
with
yeah, the Red Band book or what, Revenge, Wolverine
yeah,
Revenge.
that
Well, his
was
stuff
very
with
good.
his Batman stuff with
Oh yeah,
Snyder was
yeah.
great too, the
Oh yeah,
Corvallis and all that.
I think
Yeah,
that's like one of those ultimate story like team
yeah,
up. Like Snyder and him are
yeah,
amazing with Batman.
yeah.
But
Uh, Go ahead.
so Brian, what's kind of like just kind of a refresher on who X Force is?
Yeah, if you don't know, X Force is a sort of military force, like the not terrorist. I don't want to say that, but they're definitely the
Hmm.
extremist version of the X Men. They believe like
Like the
you
Black
know
Ops.
yeah, not even well, at this time it was in Black Ops, it's more like they thought that, X-Men should be, fighting with a fist, not with an open hand kinda thing.
Hmm.
And they basically more of a paramilitary group as opposed to, X-Men is like a peacekeeper kinda group. Cable, who is the time displaced son of Cyclops, although we do not know that at the time. I believe at that point we still thought Strife was the real son of Cyclops and that Cable was the clone.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Who's
Marvel and
also
clones don't do well.
yeah,
Let's
well
just say
well,
that
because
right now.
well, Cyclops at the time was married to Madeline Pryor, who was a clone of Jean Grey, who supposedly had died with the Phoenix, but was actually living in a cocoon at the bottom of the Hudson Bay.
Right.
Then, when Jean Grey comes back, Cyclops ditches his clone wife of Jean Grey, which he didn't know was a clone. Her name was just Madeline Pryor, and they had a son together, and that son was Cable, or Nathan Summers, who got infected with a virus that they sent into the future. And when he came back, it was they initially thought as Strife. Turns out it was actually Cable who was this real son,
Hmm.
but then Cable had a clone that was Strife. And then don't get me started on Nate Gray, who is the son of them from the Age of Apocalypse.
Age of
But
Apocalypse, and
Jesus
then
Christ.
yeah, he's one of the only survivors of that Age of
Yeah,
Apocalypse
there's one of
storyline.
four.
Him
Yeah,
and
Sugarman, Dark Beast, X-Men, and Holocaust were those four.
Holocaust. Yeah. But
Yeah.
but also just another tidbit about X Force. That was they originally were the New Mutants, like the
Yes.
teen team of the X-Men, and they became X-Force.
This is part of that whole like Liefeld where, Liefeld was a superstar. He's like, I want to turn this into a military or like an action comic, the New Mutants into an action comic. And they needed, at this point, Marvel was about to go public with their IPO. And so they needed to show to the stockholders, look, we can make, hear this term, infinite profits. We're going to have more profits this year. So coming off the heels of Spider-Man #1, which came out in 1991 and sold millions of issues, they needed another #1 hit. And that was X-Force. And of course, that led into X-Men #1. But yeah, it was like this thing like, we're going to sell 5 and that's what happened. Anyway.
Anyway.
Cable is their leader and is thought to be dead after the events of the Executioner's song. And that's where we are at this point.
Guess what? Cable's alive. Just like we thought Magneto was dead. Cable is alive.
Alive? No.
I know. Much to the surprise of the team, though. So just like we were surprised, team was surprised. And then you see what's going on with the Acolytes and the Exodus. You see returns offering haven to some of the mutants, like Cannonball and Sunspot and stuff. Who I guess like we said were taught by Magneto.
The former New Mutants, raised by Magneto, basically.
And then so they go up with Exodus, and Cable leads the remainder of the team to follow them, only to find out his former base has been taken over. Malkin has been taken over by Magneto, and he plans to blow it all up along with Magneto. But the voice of reason, that southern voice of reason, Cannonball, kind of talks him out of it. And
I've always had a soft spot for Cannonball, my boy.
Cannonball he is great. Like Cannonball is one of he's the best way to put it. He's like the Weasley family of
yes, that's good,
of the X-Men, where there's a bunch of kids and they're all mutants.
That's right.
And but Cannonball talks him out of it, and Cannonball and the rest of the team hightail it out of there. And this kind of shows the official return of Magneto.
Yeah.
And then
it officially shows that he's straight up alive. He's here. And
get used to it. Cable then decides to grab his AI, which Professor,
Professor, okay,
and he kind of battles Magneto, who kind of rips him apart.
He straight up takes him apart because he's half robot.
And I think because Magneto survived or something, he has a power boost too, I think.
That
allows him to do that. He's because it's almost kind of like, if you think about it, like you've seen stories where Superman just kind of hangs out around the sun. That's kind of what Magneto had been doing, it seems like.
I thought you were going to do like a Dragon Ball Z reference or something like that.
He's over 9,000.
That's literally what I thought you were going to. He is, though.
He is. He is on a Super Saiyan level. I'll even put it in One Piece. One Piece thing. He's on his Gear 2. Now, Gear 4. Let's say Gear 4.
That was over my head.
I know, right? But all my One Piece fans get it. You know who you are. But he's able to do that because the whole thing about Cable is that he's half robotic and techno organic because of that virus, and that's he initially is a very powerful telepath, but
telekinetic,
telekinetic telepath, and techno or whatever technology path or whatever. But half of that, his power has to be
devoted to keeping the techno-organic virus from eating him away.
Pretty much. So Magneto's just all right, and he snaps his fingers basically. No, but he kind of rips him apart, which is kind of like a precursor. Yeah. Foreshadowing. That's the word I was looking for. Cable teleports out, and Magneto's just kind of left sulking because his former students didn't decide whether it's they don't want to be my friend anymore. And
poor Magneto.
Oh man. And that's kind of basically the issue. It's just kind of you get the official coming out party of Magneto, basically.
Yeah, it's like the X Factor issue. If you're reading X Force at the time, it's a culmination of a lot of what's going on in that book. And if you're reading X Force, this is great. Oh my gosh, and it's a big moment. It is. It's Cable returning, and
Yeah.
they lose Grey Malkin, and like he gets the professor back and all that. But like in terms of the fatal attractions of it all, I mean, you do get the official return of Magneto at this point, although it's not blown up in that big of a deal. Like, and we'll get to that in a
Right.
second. But as an issue, again, it's almost exactly like if you it's just like the X Factor issue. If you're into it, you absolutely should read it. Is it integral to the storyline? Not even at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this is, but I think this is more of a part one than the X Factor issue was. Only because
Yeah.
there's Magneto in it. That's really
Yeah,
the
Magneto's
reason.
definitely in it, and Cable does show up again, and there's
At the
definitely some
end,
other
yeah.
stuff. Yeah, and it does establish like, oh, this is where Magneto got that giant base in the sky. Like
Right.
it's like he took over Cable's old base and just turned it into Avalon, which obviously pisses Cable off. But um, you know, yeah, I'd say it's more like a point 5 chapter.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But I still think you could not have this issue and they wouldn't have noticed because in the next issue, which we're gonna talk about in a second, that's where Magneto makes his triumphant return, and that's when, like, actually the doors are blown open about Magneto being
Right.
back,
That's true.
This one's like, "Oh,
That's
he's here. Okay." Oh, and you're like, "Oh my
yeah.
god, he's here," but it didn't it I hate to say this, but it's such a low impact in terms of, like, his return that in the next issue, when all of the X-Men are there, including X-Force and X-Factor, they don't bother to tell anybody, "Hey, by
Right.
the
That's
way,
true. That's true.
Magneto's alive,
Hey,
yo."
guess
Like,
what? Oops. Oh, I knew there was something I forgot to tell you.
seriously, because like, okay, so let's just talk about that. Let's talk get
Yeah.
into part 3, Uncanny 304 for What I Have Done. Written by Libdell, art by various artists, probably predominantly mostly John Romita Jr., although you've got Jay Lee in there, Chris Sprouse, there's a few other cats.
Mhm.
You know, supposedly it's because like, oh, this is it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be, if I recall, like dropped on the same day X-Men #1 dropped 30 years earlier. Delays pushed it, and you can tell, Um, but yeah, this is now Magneto's coming out party, and there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Josh, I leave this in your capable hands.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, first this starts with the Exodus, kind of letting the acolytes know that Magneto is alive, and
Yeah.
not only did Cortez not really help him, like not only like abandon him, but he also tried to kill him. So acolytes are pissed, but they kind of so they get away from Cortez and follow Exodus to hang out with Magneto, of course, because they're Magneto's acolytes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the rest of the X Men are kind of preparing for Alania's funeral, who sadly she had passed away from the
Is it
legacy
Alanya? I
virus.
always call her Ileana. Is it
Ileana, I'm
Alanya?
sorry,
No,
no,
I don't
you're
know.
right,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
Ileana. Did
Okay.
you ever
I
watch
don't
that
know.
new Mutants movie?
I did, but I don't remember a single thing about it.
You know what? Here's the thing. I don't either. So yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say Ileana's funeral, and just pretty much every X character is in attendance of the funeral.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the
I
30th
wonder why.
anniversary.
Oh yeah,
Duh.
yes, yeah, yeah. And after, I mean, I think Storm has a great eulogy. Well, actually, here's one thing. So they're setting up for the funeral.
Okay.
I don't know if you caught this or something. So Bishop is talking to Banshee,
Oh, I
and
got
they're
that.
just
I caught
yeah.
that.
What would you know what
Oh,
I'm
well,
gonna say?
okay. I was just well, I'm assuming you're to
Yeah,
say, like, he's talking to him about the future, like, what you can protect, and
yeah,
Bishop mentions to Banshee, like, you're gonna lead the next generation of mutants, basically,
yeah.
which is
That
essentially setting up Generation X, which is gonna happen in, like, 2 or 3 years.
right. Well, that, but also
Hmm.
Banshee flies away while
Mhm.
talking to Bishop. Like
Okay.
he's saying something while he's flying away. Banshee can only fly because he's sonically
Yes.
screaming.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's actually talking to Bishop or he's like screaming at him the words in the word bubble.
Oh,
That is
see,
just something I saw. Like,
he said it, and then he flew.
well, he's very
In
much
the
in
air.
midair when he's so
Well,
he's
he
either can
yelled it.
jump really high.
So he yelled it until he was like flying with his little wing flaps, like the storm drapes. And then as he's flying, he says his words and he screams again so he can fly up again.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I think that's something they just totally didn't even think of it.
Well, speaking of other inconsistencies, I want to talk about Magneto, but we'll save that for a second because Magneto is fucking insane in this issue. He's insane.
He's insane, but he's so like monologuing so much throughout this whole stuff. It's great, but it's also just monologues the whole time.
Well, I don't mind the monologuing, but like literally, so
it's
they're
getting Magneto.
They're getting ready for her funeral. They're saying the eulogy. He shows up and he's like, why not? What are you like? Magneto's back! Holy crap! Which again, like Cable and company and Cannonball are all there. They should have been like, hey, yeah, we forgot to tell you, Magneto's back. Sorry about that. Kind of dropped the ball on that one. Could have sent you an email. Literally, like, he's like, I'm back, and he's like, he goes nuts. Like he's at one point, like he grabs one of the acolytes. His name's Senyaka, who looks like he's a cross between like Dr. Rock, not even Dr. Rock, Omega Red, who has these like tendrils that come out of his hand.
He looks like he's like a mix of Omega Red, but also Wolverine's design when he was Death for Apocalypse.
For Apocalypse. Like you got a huge sash around his face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, he's got these like basically these tendrils that are like white hot or red hot, like burning, which he burned some nurse in the X Factor issue, and Magneto literally wraps him up in his own coils and squishes him to death to the point where literally Jubilee pukes. She's like, "Oh my god!" He just pulped himself with his own coils, and like Magneto's thing is like Senyaka, first goes like, he's like, "I hear you carried out genetic cleansing in my name," and he's like, I did, master. And he's like, cool. I'm killing you now for doing that. Not because I had a problem with you killing people in the name of genetic cleansing, but because you didn't ask for my permission. Keep in mind, at this point, like, no, Magneto would not be cool with genetic cleansing, as we've said before about the whole Nazi stuff. B, like, Senyaka didn't even know he was alive. You know what I mean? Like, C, he was actually carrying out you said I'm glad you did it, but you didn't do it because I told you to do it. It's like, what is going on with Magneto here?
Yeah, it seemed like that moment was just added by editors or something. They were just like, so X Factor really does not tie into any of this. How can we go back? Oh, let's just have him kill one of the guys from what happened in this X Factor issue. It seemed very like just thrown in.
Yeah, and but here's the thing. Here's the thing they could have done though, Josh. And I mean this, like, it could have been like, I do not stand for what you did. You know what I mean? Like, instead, the whole like the weird warped logic of like, you did what I would have done, but because I didn't tell you to do it, even though you didn't know I was alive, I'm gonna pulp you with your own coils. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It could have simply just been, I'm sorry, it could have just been as simple, like, like, no, we don't do that. And this is the price you pay for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It reminded, like, they did something like this too with the OG Ultimate X-Men where like Magneto was, which is another thing that this Ultimate X-Men takes from the storyline, funny enough, where at the time Magneto had been brainwashed by Professor X.
Yeah.
And this one mutant finds out about it, and they basically find him and bring him back. But he did it like behind the back of like Quicksilver, who was in charge of the Brotherhood of Mutants. So Magneto just kills him because he did it without the hierarchy and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like another.
It's just
I'm just saying that's something that just the Ultimate X-Men pulled from, and I'm not saying it makes sense or it's just like it was weird.
Well, the other thing too, even to that end, it's like, he literally comes down for a student that he helped raise, and essentially loved, as like almost like as a daughter or as a mentor figure. And instead he goes down there just full aggro, like, I'm locking you guys all in place with my mutant powers and you're going to listen to me monologue. And what it should have been was like, he's like, I've come here to pay my respects. And X-Men being X-Men gonna X-Men. I mean, Wolverine doesn't take much to flip his switch. They go nuts and attack him. He's like, you see, you couldn't even do this. And bam, now I'm going to show you what's
that would
up.
have been better, yeah.
Yeah, and just like he is out to lunch in this issue, and like, no offense to Lobdell, but it's like, man, I mean, look, the writer's gonna write, the editors are gonna edit. I did not care
Seemed like a
for the
missed
Magneto.
opportunity.
Yes, there could have been a much more subtler version of Magneto that I mean, you don't wanna empathize with the villain, but you wanna at least make them human. He's a caricature at this point, he's a
Yeah.
monologuing away. It's like, "Come on, dude." I don't
Yeah,
know, sorry.
he's like a Saturday morning cartoon bad guy. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
and
go ahead.
it no, no, I mean, and
I
yeah,
have
and then
more
the
issues,
whole
but
but yeah, I don't know. You're right. It just seemed like a weird excuse to bring him in,
yeah.
um, or to really establish he's the bad guy.
Yeah. Just full Looney Tunes. And like I said, it could have just been a subtle, like, and it literally could just been Wolverine, like, berserker rage, like
Yeah,
pissed off, or any number of, you could even Cable, who's pissed off for getting like ripped in half in the previous issue, could have just like started opening fire on him at that point, because that plot point comes up later in Excalibur anyway. You know what I mean?
right, right, right. And it's also just he could have said like I'm like you said, I'm here to pay my respects now, and you attack me still. But when this is over, like you're gonna
Yeah.
really
You're going to regret that.
regret a what you've done to me before, and then b what I'm gonna be doing because of what you did.
Yeah. So the big moment besides that happens in this issue is, at this point, Colossus, like, Professor, is like, goes up to Colossus like, "Hey, I want to say sorry about your sister, yo." Like, and Colossus, like, this is where Colossus is every right to get in Xavier's face about this. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
he has every right to be pissed off. Like, you didn't save my sister. You said you would. You sent me on this mission, and I wasn't even there for her death. Screw you, man. Because earlier in the issue, there's a scene, and it's so stupid. I actually hate this scene. It's
Hmm.
where, like, he's burning all of his, because he's an artist. He's burning all of his art. It's pictures of Ileana and Mikhail and his parents, pictures of Nightcrawler and all that. And like Kitty, who's his former paramour, is like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, stop that." And he's like, "I don't care anymore. What do we care about art?" And she's just like, "Stop! Like, this is your art." It's like, "Don't you feel anything?" "I feel nothing." And you're just like,
Yeah.
"Dude, get over it." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I
Tonight's the
hate.
night. He's
Yeah,
full
it's like,
emo.
"Oh god," full emo, and I'm like, "Dude, this is horse manure." Like, I remember it just say she's, like, trying to hug him, and he's just like, "I feel nothing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Shut up, dude." And then, but when he blows up on Xavier, I'm like, "That's correct. That is the correct
Right.
response." You know what I mean? But
Like,
so, of
yeah,
course,
like
what happened. Good.
everything that like when I answered your call, my family is now dead. So it's just kind of, and
Yeah.
I was not there for any of it. So
Yes.
he's totally in. Even Xavier's just like, yeah, no, he's
You're
right. My
He's
bad.
right. I
My
messed
bad,
up.
B.
Sorry about that, P. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so at this point, Magneto offers any of the mutants like, "Hey, I'm gonna go create heaven on earth up on Avalon. Any mutants who wanna go up, come on down." And Colossus is like, "You know what? Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm out. Sign me up."
Which I thought that was kind of weird. Um,
I
Only
didn't
because it's
mind.
just like I would think he would just want to be by himself. Like, why is
He's
he's pissed off because he's part of the team and his whole family died, but now he's going to join another team.
Well, 2 reasons. Again, 2 reasons. Number 1, he is pissed off at Xavier, and what's gonna hurt Xavier the most? By literally defecting
Yeah.
to the other team. That is gonna hurt Xavier, and it does. That messes Xavier up. But then number 2, we do know he is, like, his brain has been effed up from that attack he had from the
Yeah,
executioner.
that's
So
true. That's true.
he's not acting in character, like I said. That's where I'm just like, I mean, yeah, I guess that's why he burned his paintings, whatever, I guess.
Mhm.
You know, it's a definite twist, because Colossus has been like like you said, like the heart of the team for like the longest time, and so to have
Yeah.
this character turn on Xavier is a big twist of the knife. You know what I mean?
I can see
Um,
that. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
well, again, that's just my take on it. I mean, like, you are perfectly right to say, like, I don't think that should have happened, or I think he should have just walked away.
Yeah, I just like if he's so angry with being on one team and against Xavier, it even though he would
Yeah,
want to twist the knife, it seems counterproductive to go to
yeah,
Magneto, who's been fighting and
yeah,
is the reason why he's on this team fighting. Like, so it's
yeah.
just
It's
kind of
true.
like
That's true.
one reason
No,
for the other reason.
Yeah. I think it's the first issue that is like 100% you do need to read. Of course, you
Yeah,
kind of need to read all the other issues that kind of lead into it as well. But this is where it kind of begins. Like, where Fatal Attraction's like, okay, Magneto is officially here now. The
right,
X-Men know he's here, and he's pissed, and he's got a big giant, space station, for lack of a better word, where he's gonna send up mutants. And so
right.
let's go from there. Um, yeah, what did you think of this issue overall?
Other is other than I like the art, of course. A lot of the art was great, and I liked how it set up everything. But yeah, there was some moments where I was just like, it's a little heavy handed, a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. I
But
will say
it
that
was a starting point.
Senyaka's death is nuts, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Much like Mellencamp's death, I was like, "Whoa."
right, right, yeah, yeah. So yeah, this that's another thing too. Like this whole crossover is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
When you think
Well,
about it.
people get messed up, and that's again what I was talking about. It's like this is a book. X-Men books are about change, or at least the illusion of change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, just even with the X Factor with the multiple man, but also just how they kind of take out all these people at the hospital.
Yeah, that was brutal, man. I did not like
Mhm.
that, but
No,
whatever. Well, that leads us into part 4, unless you had anything else on that, or
no, 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 no. Yeah, no.
yeah.
I think we should move on to part 4. X-Men
Yeah.
25. Dreams fade.
Dreams Fade. Written by Fabian Nicieza and art by Andy Kubert. Again, I don't think you need any backstory at this point. Now you're kind of caught up. Yeah, it's Magneto gonna Magneto basically at this point. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
this one was just it was kind of my favorite issue only because of just some of the crazy things that are in it. I
oh,
mean,
this issue is like indelibly drilled into my brain from like
I
being a
just
kid.
yeah, is I just love so at first basically the world kind of was just like, whoa, Magneto's actually back, so we have to
Initiate
put
the
up this
Magneto
whole
protocols.
the Magneto protocols. But what I love about this one, it's just like from the first, like the third page, you have
uh,
this the Nick Fury is in it, with Forge because they're the ones that or made this thing. I just love the cigar is Cuban, the armament is American, and though the attitude is pure hard edged steel, Nicholas Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., a man who has fought in 3 wars across 4 decades, is scared. It's like, oh my God, that's hilarious. That's amazing. The
I
cigar
love
is
that
Cuban.
it's worse. I was gonna say, I love that it's also like the same exact Nick Fury you get from the Jim Lee
Yeah.
Magneto, or like the first issue. I'm like, it looks exactly the same. It's like, oh, he hasn't left the building, has he? you know. Uh
It, it's amazing.
yeah, so basically, yeah, the world's like, okay, we're initiating the Magneto probe, which is basically elect a shield or electric shield around so Magneto can't come down anymore. Magneto's like, that's
Yeah.
cute. Snap my fingers and EMPs the earth, like
Right.
knocks out all the power grids and communications, just like messes everything up. And like to the point where this kills thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
people on life support, people in planes, people that, were traveling, like all that, like people
Yeah.
die or got injured because of this. He's like, yeah, he's like, cool. Here we go.
Another moment that was one of my favorites
Please,
is just
please.
the when the blackout hits like Excalibur
Yeah.
and you have Captain Britain just sitting there with a cup of tea.
A cup of tea. Yeah.
He's just sitting there, just looking straight into camera, like down to
Yeah.
camera, and just like, but Nightcrawler's talking to him, but he's just looking like it's like he's
Straight down the
posing for
barrel.
a poster. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like he's posing for a poster, and just like it's just kind of weird. This I love just like in case you didn't know that he was British. He's drinking
Yes, in
tea and
case
just
you know,
looking
let's just make sure
straight into the
he's
camera.
he's sitting on a throne, with
Right.
like, yeah, what is it? Yeah, there's a FF have a good cameo there too, where the Thing is pissed off
Yeah.
about the water and all that. Which I thought was great
Right.
because
And
every
then
once in a while you forget that like the X-Men are part of a greater universe.
right, right. But then because of the blackout, the X-Men strike team is formed and it's composed of Quicksilver, Gambit, Wolverine, Jean Grey, Rogue, and Professor X.
Wait, Professor X is going into the field? Oh, and real quick to that, the only reason they're able to form this strike team and have power is because they have Shi'ar
Right.
generators, which is the
Shi'ar
they
yeah.
make at least they make they I'm glad they at least give that throwaway line. Oh, thank God we have those Shi'ar generators from deep space,
Right.
or else we'd be in real trouble here.
If it reminds me
Anyway.
of have you ever see the movie Thank You for Smoking?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just reminding me of that it's the scene where they're trying to get like smoking in the sci-fi movie, and he's just like, "Wouldn't a cigarette be bad in like a all like, oxygen environment?" It's like, "Oh, well, we just threw a throwaway line. Like, thank God we built this thing for this thing." That's exactly what that was. And
Yeah,
then,
it's exactly what it was.
but yeah,
But you were
so
saying
how is
Professor
Professor
X
X
is
in
gonna
this
lead a
strike team?
strike team?
How is he going to lead the strike team? Well, he
Yes.
has a powered suit
That's powered
uh
by psionic energy.
that's totally not there just to make a toy from. Um and he's like, even this is just I can't really he's like, I'm having a really hard time with this. So
I've used all of
like
my mental energies to use the suit. That's why I'm
right, just
bringing Jean
want
Grey.
yeah, exactly. This one bring Jean Grey, and that's why I need to be in the field when most of my power is already being used to walk in the suit. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
okay.
this
Like Cyclops is like, fine. Like you're
yeah, but this is like Cyclops even called him out. I was like, "Yo, why shouldn't I go?"
yeah, I know. Like, and he's like, you're not really great for and on
More work for your
field
strategy.
leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Professor, I love the Professor X is just like, normally I would be offended if that wasn't so true. Like, what?
Professor X is like is in Professor is a dick category in this issue.
Yeah, this is just crazy. And um so they he's like, yes, so he makes sure he basically is just like, I'm choosing this team because basically we're all expendable. So everybody that's not a part of this team, I just want still at home to continue our legacy. And so
Yes.
like some of the team are just like, okay, sure, and then the other people are like what? Like, because everybody's expendable. I'm sorry, what?
Excuse me? Yeah, so basically they teleport on up and they if I right, they teleport, right?
Yeah, so they teleport.
Oh, no, they use
So maybe
they use wait, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no. I mean, yeah, they either fly up and then teleport in, or they teleport up because Bishop is in a spaceship. Like later
Well,
on.
Bishop comes up that's only because Colossus calls down for Bishop to come up, and
All
there's a
right.
line about that at the end. I believe they teleport up and they basically use Quicksilver to speed around to reprogram the, computer so they can teleport all the acolytes into the escape
Yeah.
pods and eject them into space, and I love that shot of Exodus, like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. But so with that, so with the teleportation, like maybe you can
Yeah.
explain this to me because I don't know understand this. Why did they have all these spacesuits on if they were going to teleport right into the Avalon?
We probably didn't know where they were gonna end up, maybe? I don't know. There was
Because I
stealth
didn't
suit
see
maybe
anything about that.
were they also, like, stealth suits, though, as well?
Not
Because they didn't
no,
wanna
because they were tracked right when they got in.
oh, that's right, Colossus turned the security program off.
Right. So I don't understand what was the reason for the astronaut suits. Like I try to look through what if they even mentioned like, hey, we need to have these suits to go in, or we don't know how their oxygen is going to be, or which wouldn't make sense. But it's just like they just have them on to have them on.
I guess so. Maybe they just were gonna end up in an area that might have been, oxygen deprived or something like that, but, yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question.
So
Hmm.
that's what I was just very confused by. But
It looks cool, I guess,
yeah, I don't know. Again, maybe to sell more toys
Or
again. Like
yeah,
um,
who knows? But
it's just
nonetheless
100% of this issue was like strike a pose.
that's true.
Um,
Well, it's any keyword, so you
yeah, that
got it.
too. Yeah.
You
So
gots to.
Jean Grey and Professor X use their psionic powers to attack Magneto on the mental plane, with the rest of the X-Men attacking him physically, which maybe because they're combined, they can
They can
overpower
attack 'em.
his helmet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and yeah. I mean, it makes sense, you know what I mean? The thing is, we don't know at this point, but Xavier has a different game in mind. You know, he thinks that they're gonna subdue him, that's what they all think, they're gonna subdue him. Xavier's got a little bit more extreme methods
Yeah.
about to hit.
But what I
Yeah,
mean, it's just like I thought the whole reason for his helmet is so they couldn't get him on the mental plane. So, but they still get through his. Oh no, they do because of Quicksilver knocks his helmet off. That's what it was.
yeah, and then
Um,
and then Magneto wants to kill him, his own
right,
son. He straight up was like, "I'm going to kill you, son. It was nice knowing you."
right, yeah, yeah, and then Wolverine
Saves
basically
he saves
saves
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver, but like slashes Magneto pretty good, like
Yeah,
pretty badly. And Magneto is just like, all right, bet you hurt me. It was here's a payback that's of equal value, and I'm just going to rip the adamantium from your bones through your pores.
yeah. Um, 2 points to this. Number 1, reading that and not knowing it was coming was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Was insane. Back in '93, I remember reading that and, like, my jaw hitting the floor, like, what the it was like, "This is insane. I cannot believe this just happened." Like, what's gonna happen? Like, literally, what does this mean? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can you you almost have to put yourself back in that mindset, like, this was insane. This was literally
Mm-hmm.
insane, like, Wolverine just literally had what had defined him for the last, like, 20 years ripped out of him, and what are the ramifications of this? What is gonna happen because of this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We had no idea. Like, this was uncharted territory for us at the time. The other thing that's interesting about this point is this was something Peter David had suggested they do in
Yeah.
Executioner's Song. He literally, because they were like initially in Executioner's Song, they're like, and we've got Strife in here, we've got Mr. Sinister, we've got Apocalypse, and we're gonna throw Magneto in to boot. He's gonna be his return here. And they finally the last thing, okay, we may have one too many villains. And so they pulled Magneto out. But it was Peter
Hmm.
David sarcastically saying, like, if we're gonna have Magneto, just have him rip the adamantium off his bones. So this is a plot point left over from the great
Oh
Peter
wow.
David, actually. So
That's kind of crazy.
yeah, it is over. So
But the visual is pretty crazy too,
yeah,
and
it's yeah,
and just the way that Magneto looks too, because again at this time too, he's pretty overpowered, so he's just
yeah.
kind of like
Well, yeah,
kind
because
of
he couldn't even really affect like the adamantium in earlier
right.
incarnations of Magneto. Yeah, he was definitely OP in this. The other thing that this of course leads to the second craziest scene in the book, which is um Professor Xavier's like, okay, that's it. We're done here. We're done here.
Yeah,
And literally, he just
get done.
erases Magneto's brain, just empty hard drive, like formats the hard drive, done.
Yeah,
He's a vegetable, period.
yeah.
And like everyone's like, why'd you do that? He's like, I had no choice, you know?
Which he kind of like think too at the time, like, was that his ultimate goal?
I
A
think
little
it
bit.
was. I
Yeah.
honestly do. I think he knew what he was going up there to do. Like why wear that stupid suit and go up there with
Why
Jean
go up
Grey?
there in the first place?
Yeah, he knew what he was gonna do. He was gonna go up there and like, "Oh, we're trying to get in his brain and make him see the error of his ways." No, that's not what we're doing. No,
Nah,
nah, bro.
no,
So
bro.
so at this point, Colossus, who did not get teleported out with the rest of the acolytes, shows up. He's like, "Yeah, totally. This is my bad for letting this happen because I kind of turned off the security when I saw you guys show up. So I'm gonna just go and take care of him as a vegetable." And oh, by the way, I called Bishop up. He's on his way up for the Blackbird.
Yeah,
So get out of here. The teleporters don't work because
right.
you took out the boss man. And so that literally kind of ends the issue, which leads us. And this is the only point where we have like A to B, which is Wolverine
That's true.
75. Where it's like Wolverine 75 picks up right from the end of this issue. It but before we do that, I mean, we kind of discussed it. Was there any extra thoughts you had about this issue, Josh?
No, no, I love this issue. Just
Yeah, it's
for
great.
all I loved it for all the wrong reasons. I love the writing of it, the crazy writing, the posing, the posturing, the
Oh, yeah.
but also the shock value moments too were great.
Yeah. Well, and the moment of Xavier doing that to Magneto will have ramifications unintended
Yeah.
throughout the Marvel universe for years to come, which is something we'll discuss in a moment. But like that moment is it leaves a mark on the Marvel universe. Period. Like that decision to do it. Now it's funny, like I talk a lot about like what ifs. I love what if comics. This is a
Mm.
perfect what if he didn't erase Magneto's brain, like because the Marvel
Yeah.
universe definitely went a different path because of this. But we'll discuss that in a minute. So part 5, Wolverine 75, Nightmares Persist. Written by my favorite, Larry Hama. I love him. Art by Adam Kubert. This is his first issue doing Wolverine, and this is where he would go on for a run of like a good 30, 40 issues, by the way, and they're great.
Yeah,
Um,
so for those keeping track, we've gotten both Kubert brothers.
yeah. This issue, like I said, picks up right where X-Men 25 leaves off. A modified Blackbird is attempting to get through the out of space and trying to descend in through Earth's atmosphere and is being just ripped apart because a Blackbird, it is a plane. It is not meant to go into space,
Right. And,
Um,
and then at the same time, while it's like all this is happening, Xavier and Jean are trying to keep Wolverine alive and keep
yeah,
um him from not going crazy from this huge bodily trauma that just happened to Wolverine. And his body is falling apart, and like his healing factor is at like the
capacity.
edge of capacity. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and it's breaking down basically.
yeah, and like he is going through all this hurt so much that he's just pleading with Xavier just to like, dude, just let me die. Like
Just let
this
me
is
go.
too
I'm right
much.
there. I'm done.
Yeah.
I've had a good life. Let's
And
just end this.
yeah, and Jean at the same time is trying is she's keeping the ship together, she's keeping Wolverine together.
Yeah,
Um and at some point it's just too much, and the door blows off and kind of sucks her out, and then
yeah,
that kind of brings Logan back, like because Logan at the time was like hallucinating, he's going towards the light, he sees Ileana, and he kind of breaks from the brink, and he kind of grabs her hand and pulls her back in through midair. Like
yeah.
it's kind of like that movie moment basically.
It is exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you think all is lost, he's done. She screams, and then the hand comes out of nowhere and grabs her right as she gets sucked off and pulls her
Right.
back in. He's like, "I'm not ready to go just yet, Red," or something like that.
Right.
Um, it's a great moment. It's honestly good. Like
Yeah.
it's not even action, but it's just like that good. Like the art is beautiful. I love of the Kubert brothers. I love Adam Kubert like a lot. So like this is just really good
Hmm.
stuff. Um, yeah, it picks up. Then the issue picks up about 2 weeks later. Wolverine's ostensibly healed, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go in the danger room now." And they're like, "You don't need to do this. You can
Yeah,
take
he's like,
some
I
time
gotta
off."
prove that I can still do it basically.
And this is the other kind of shocking moment in the book. And he goes to pop his claws. Adamantium does not come out, but a set of bone claws. And again, good.
No, I was gonna ask you, is that the first time that they showed bone
Yes.
claws? And then also, it's
Oh,
like, I think people are. Were you more surprised that something did come out instead of like you thought like it would? We knew it wouldn't be adamantium because of how
I don't know.
Magneto pulled it out. But did you?
So I remember again, this was the issue that took me forever to find, and Wizard, blew it out. Like if you didn't get it, like luckily Wizard recapped it pretty much. Like, but I remember like reading that and was like, holy heck! And I remember like everyone was like, what does it mean? And it's funny. I read a lot of articles about it now. Like, oh yeah, he always had these bone claws, and it's like, no, we didn't know that at the time. We didn't know what it
Mm-hmm.
meant. It was like, did his body like grow bone there to like fill the cavities from like the leftover? Like, we did not know what that meant, and it took years
Hmm.
for us to find that out. But at the time, it was still just as shocking as the adamantium being ripped out with Magneto and all that. But it was a shocking moment. You know what I mean? It literally was like it added another layer to Wolverine where like we don't know what that means. So was he always had this? Was like we did literally did bone just grow there? Like we didn't know. We didn't know, man.
Right. Even he was asking that too, because at the time he didn't know any of his
Yeah.
history as well. So he was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I had these the whole time or this is just I don't know what happened with these. And also like when they pop out though, he has those little
Nubs.
the nubs, but they're
The
still they're seen as metal. So
yeah.
too. So that's a little editor error, but
Yeah. Well, and I
um
love that it's not the schnicked sound, it's the schluck sound.
yeah.
Yeah. Which I love though too that, so, for all the, didn't know, like, the Bone Claw Wolverine, this lasted for a very long time.
Yeah.
This went on from because they teased that he was gonna get his adamantium back in issue 100, and then that did not happen, and then it went for another 45 issues past that. It literally from 75 to 145, Wolverine was the blown clawed Wolverine, and it got to the point where, like, I guess he's never getting those back, and then,
Hmm.
then he got it back, but it was just interesting, like, I'm glad that they kinda, like, let that run its course for a long time, at least in comic book realm, you know?
Yeah, and this is when he started to be more like Savage Wolverine too, right? Because of the
Yeah,
the trauma that
because
happened.
Well, so from what I recall, and I could be wrong about this, because so when he has the adamantium grafted to his bones, remember that's a foreign body within his body,
Right.
and so his healing factor has to compensate for that and constantly be healing him because there's like a foreign thing in him, and so it's like a
Yeah.
poison essentially. So once it gets kicked out of him, his body goes into like hyperactive healing mode. Like it's just like, oh, now it's like, and it becomes more bestial because of that. Like at one
Hmm.
point, like I said, like he gets run over by a truck, and 2 seconds later, he's already running full sprint again. He heals that fast. And even that
Hmm.
comment's like, yeah, in the old Wolverine, he would have taken him minutes to get back up. And this one, it's like, yep, he got pancaked, and within like a minute, like a few seconds, he was already full sprinting down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
which
because of
is
that, yeah, good.
crazy and funny that his healing factor, is slow when he comes back from being, in two in a couple of minutes. That's
Yeah.
how crazy his healing factor is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but he becomes more bestial and savage, like, he starts wearing a bandana over his head, his nose gets a little,
Yeah.
like, he loses, like, the tip of his nose for some weird reason, he's, like, more savage. I don't care for that as much, but I really do like this era because he also leaves the X-Men at the end of the book, he's like, "I'm a
Right.
liability for you guys, so I'm out," and that kind of is how the issue ends. He writes a letter to Jubilee, and he's like, "Hey, kid, I gotta go," because, "I got things to do now, I gotta go
Yeah.
figure things out."
These are
I
his
really I really do like this issue though. Like I said, I love the art, I like the
Mhm.
story, it had so many layers, and that's the thing is it answered questions with questions, and I like that when it kind of does that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was good. I thought I think part 4 and part 5, I think, are
Yeah.
the
Strongest.
two, the strongest of all 6.
Yeah. Well, and that leads us into part 6, which was Excalibur 71, Crossing Swords, written by Liddell and art by various artists from like Derek Robertson to Ken
Yeah,
Lashley. It was a lot of
that
artists on this book too.
that threw me through a loop.
So if you haven't known, like we had mentioned Excalibur, this is the UK/English version of the X-Men. It's composed of like a classic X-Men like Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler, Cat and Britain and stuff like that. As we mentioned, Colossus has been in a relationship with Kitty Pryde. Of course, he messed that up during the Secret Wars, but that's another podcast. We'll talk about that later.
That's a
Um,
secret test podcast.
there we go. Yeah, exactly. Did we do that one? We did.
We did. Yep, a super secret one that I don't know will
Okay.
ever come out. What we'll have
Yeah,
to
we'll not.
redo it.
We'll just do a new one.
We'll do it
Yeah,
live.
so this yeah, we'll do so this is Excalibur at this point. This is the final part of Fatal Attractions, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but, as you've been kind of got from the vibe, this is not a necessary issue, you
It
know?
should have ended with a Wolverine.
Yeah, it should have. This basically his issue was to be like, "Oh, well, we gotta tie in all the books," and honestly, for a non-fan like me, I didn't even know there was an Excalibur book at the time, like, "Oh, there's another X-Men book I'm unaware of," which is exactly the point of a crossover is to introduce you to books you don't know exist and get you to start buying them. So in that way, it was successful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was like a soft launch, not soft launch, but it's just kind of like, hey,
Well, it was
in
a soft
case you
reboot at
wanted
the yeah,
more X-Men teams, we have this one across the pond.
yeah, and they do soft reboot it at the end of the issue, but let's break down the issue real quick, Josh.
So Xavier shows up at Moira's lab on Muir Island, and he's kind of there just hoping that they can heal Colossus's head injury because he's like, you know what, I need to uh, handle all the loose threads really, and they believe the injury is responsible for his defection to Magneto and kind of kept him in armored form. And Kitty calls him up and she's like, "Hey, Boo, I want to join you on Avalon. He's like, I say less. I'm on my way. And
Yep.
of course, she's like, you know what? I'm just kidding. Of course, it's a lie. And they subdue him like cause she like phases
Yes.
him so he can't move. And then
Yeah.
they put like some
Technobabble.
bracelets on him. Yeah, they just handcuffs, and then they begin to heal him. And at the time, too, Cable picks up on this message and decides he wants a little revenge on Magneto for getting ripped in half back, on what part two, and
25.
yeah, X Force 25, and then from there, so Rachel Summers is part of Excalibur, and she's just basically being like guard duty, basically
Yeah.
on the perimeter. And Cable runs into her, which unknown at the time, it's kind of like a sibling fight.
Yep.
It is the sibling fight, and it's from different timelines too, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
So, well, he's from the 616. He just got raised in the future,
right,
but he's also the product of Cyclops and his clone wife, Madeline Pryor.
yeah,
Rachel Summers is the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey from an alternate timeline. I believe it's the Days of Futures
Days
Past
of Future
timeline,
Past one, yeah,
and who's come back in time to make sure that timeline doesn't happen. So, yes, they're somehow siblings, kind of through
yeah.
genetics
At the
and
very least, timey wimey half siblings.
yeah,
And so they duke it out for a little bit, and she doesn't want him to interrupt, like the healing process of Colossus. And Cable's like, I don't care about that. I still want my revenge. And just ultimately, she takes him out.
yep,
And now, despite being healed, Colossus is just still like, I still want to go back to Avalon. Is
yeah,
Magneto's and Professor's methods aren't really working. Maybe there's like an in between method. I
yep,
can work with the acolytes of Magneto first of all to change their violence.
yes.
Um. So yeah, it's
He's
kind of
like
like a losing battle, basically.
he's like, "Catch ya, I love you, but I'm out. See you guys.
Yeah.
But I'm not stupid anymore." Kind of.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, but
Like,
I'm gonna hang out with these. I'm gonna hang out with these cultists. That's cool.
right. Because they're totally going to go against Magneto, even though that's
Yeah,
their whole religion.
yeah,
The rest of Excalibur, though, at the time, were like, we're going to stay here on Mirror Island. We like the digs. They have a free continental breakfast, and
yep,
we want to work with Moira to prevent tragedy as opposed to react. So
yep,
they kind of become a proactive team than a reactive team, and
yeah.
they kind of debut the new team. So with this new debut, though, just to be clear, is Cyclops and Jean Grey part of Excalibur at this
No, no,
point?
no, no,
That's
no,
what,
no,
because
no.
at that last
Panel.
splash
The
panel, like splash page, like they're
uh,
in it. It looks like they're part of the team.
no, they're just there because like that's their daughter.
Right.
No, no, it's literally just because like, I think they like Captain Britain was off doing something, I think with Megan, and I think at
So
that point they're
it's
just
probably something to do with like
it's
Merlin
probably drinking
and
tea or something like that. Drinking
yeah,
tea,
just posing,
Westminster
drinking
Abbey.
tea.
But yeah, like at that point, it's just Nightcrawler, Kitty, and Rachel, and they're like, okay, we're gonna be. I think they just instead of like Excalibur, we're gonna be more of a scalpel as opposed to a sword. And,
Right,
cut out
right.
infections where we find them because like they're gonna team up with Moira. Again, is this issue needed? Not even in the slightest.
Not at all.
The the only important part of it is that Colossus gets his brain fixed and he's like, "Cool, I can turn back into a human. I'm still gonna go back up." And that's
Right.
it. Like, that's the only real relevant thing that happens. I will say in terms of, like, getting other people to recognize that there's another X book out there, it did that for me at least. Like, I was like, "Oh, there's a whole other X book." Did I love it? No, no. I read all those Excalibur issues. I have most of them. It was nice to see Douglock come back, which was Doug Ramsey and Warlock. It was nice to introduce Peter Wisdom.
Hmm.
Colossus eventually comes down. He joins the team again.
Yeah, I
So
remember Colossus being part of Excalibur.
yeah, he joins eventually. So after he kicks the crap out of Peter Wisdom, who was Kitty's boo at the time,
Yeah. Which
Um,
but so like the funny thing about Excalibur is they're the UK X-Men team, but there's only one UK person.
yeah, Green
Uh,
Nightcrawler,
Nightcrawler?
the German
UK?
Nightcrawler.
Yeah,
He's well, not UK. You're right, German. I
yeah.
thought meant EU. I thought you said
Oh
EU. Sorry.
yeah. So yeah, I was joking with Brian like earlier. It's like they're like the GI Joe of the X-Men. It's just like real American heroes, but everybody's from a different country.
Exactly. Um, well, I have final thoughts a little bit later, but what are your final thoughts on this, this whole series, if you don't mind me asking, Josh?
It just seemed like I said before, they're tie-ins without the actual event.
Yeah.
They had some great like the two issues are great. You get the big oh crap factor of the adamantium and the bone claws, and then
Yeah.
what Xavier does, and it does. I mean, it does lead into Marvel, and it's definitely like an important, impactful stepping stone for
Oh, yeah.
Marvel
Yeah. Not just
after.
the X-Men, but Marvel.
Yeah, but again, it's a hard one to read because it's disjointed.
You have to be I really do think you have to have been immersed in the X-Men universe
Yeah,
at this point. You really do. Like,
like getting each single issue or reading each from all the teams.
yeah, because even, like, the omnibus I read, like, had to add, like, before you even got to the X Factor issue, there was, like, 20, I swear, it was, like, 20 issues before we actually got to the event. Like, it
Wow,
was
that's
like
crazy.
X-Men, 300 through 304. There was 301, 3. I was like, then you got to read all of X Factor from 88 to 91. And then it was like X-Men Unlimited 1 and 2. Oh, don't forget the X-Men Annual number 17. Like, there was like, I kid you not, like, it was like 10 to 15 issues you have to read just before you can get to the actual Fatal Attractions event, just to have all the
Yeah.
context that kind of goes into it. I do think, is this the best X-Men story? No. But if you're reading X-Men or you're coming in, this is great. I mean, this was the shit.
Hmm.
I mean, things happen in these books, especially in each of their own books. And I mean, like I said, growing up during it, it ruled. It was great. Like, the shock value alone was worth the value. Um, I
I
don't
was
know if
thinking.
reading it.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was thinking too. It's probably not one of the best crossovers, but it's probably one of the most important crossovers.
Yes, it's very impactful, and that actually kind of leads me to the next point, which is, like, the epilogues to all of this. Like, where does all of this lead?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, immediately after Fatal Attractions, that's literally the next issues are Blood Ties, which is
Hmm.
because at the same time, this is also the Avengers 30th anniversary. So they did, like, a crossover with the Avengers, which was like, West Coast 101. I think it was like, I wanna say it was, Avengers 366 or 367, somewhere around there. Uncanny X-Men, I think, like, 306 or 307, and then, like, X-Men
If
26. Go ahead.
if you get any of these issue numbers wrong, you're off the podcast.
That's why I'm out of here. And there's one other issue. But yeah, basically it picks up with Fabian Cortez coming down, abducting Luna, who is Quicksilver's daughter, and Crystal, who is an
Yeah.
Avenger's daughter. And, like, it's basically he heads back to Genosha, where who at this point Genosha is freaking out. Genosha is like was like sort of like a slave state before, like, mutants rose up, and then they had like an equilibrium, but now, like, everyone's freaking out over Magneto set off his little EMP blast, and humans and mutants and mutates are, like, fighting each other in the streets. It's like anarchy there. So
Mhm.
that's kind of like, it literally picks up right after that, and it ties into the Avengers book. Kind of even greater from that is, you know, the Onslaught epic, which is what happens when Xavier wipes out Magneto's brain. There is a ramification for that, and it leads to the creation of this entity called Onslaught, which decimates a lot of the Marvel universe, or a lot of the Marvel heroes, rather. You know?
Yeah, it was like that was the big event
Yeah,
for that year. Like, yeah, it was, what was it? It
yeah, it's
was
Onslaught.
Magneto's influence with Xavier's like mental something, and
Y-
then
y-
that
Yeah,
combined into like this. It looked like Magneto and a mecha, basically.
yeah, yeah. It was. It was very Magneto-esque, but it's like, yeah, the evilness of Magneto found its way into Professor Xavier's psyche, and then this thing was born within Xavier, and, like, yeah. and it's this thing called Onslaught. And yeah, it basically all of the heroes that are non-mutants, except for Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, have to sacrifice themselves by running into him and dying
Right.
supposedly. But anyway, it crossed over into Punisher, it crossed over into Spider-Man, it crossed over into Green Goblin. Where there was a Green Goblin comic at the time. It crosses over in almost all of the
Right.
mainline Marvel books. It cancels all of the main books of like the Avengers books and the Fantastic Four, and relaunches them as number ones as Heroes Reborn. And then that leads into Heroes Return. And then, it goes on from there. So it's like the effects of this were felt for years after this.
Yeah, it gives us
Uh,
the final boss for, I think it was what,
Marvel versus X-Men or Marvel
Marvel
versus
versus
Capcom.
X-Men. Yeah.
Or
No, is Marvel vs. Capcom
versus
1?
Capcom.
Yeah, I
Either
think
one
Marvel
or
vs.
three.
Capcom 1. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Definitely either 1 or X-Men. One of those. Marvel
Yeah,
Capcom fighting game. Yeah.
what that's funny. Was it good? Your mileage will
Mm,
vary. Maybe we'll do that book next. I don't Not next, but we'll do that down the line.
yeah.
But I don't know.
I think if we do, we definitely have to do the Heroes Reborn stuff because that stuff was pretty crazy.
Here's Report is nuts. Um,
And
well,
then
go ahead, please.
no, I think I was going to say the same thing you were going to allude to. Like we're going to talk about some similar reading,
Yes.
um, for this, and I think we alluded already, or we mentioned and talked about X-Men Volume 2,
Yeah.
also known as the Jim Lee era.
Yeah.
I think you definitely have to read Executioner Song just to understand the whole legacy virus of it too, and
Yeah.
the whole strife of it. And it's also, it's like it's a precursor. It's just like it's the X-Men crossover before this that involved all those different teams. So
Yep. Yeah. The other thing I think that's really fun, if you like a lot of this like, crazy stuff happening, is there's a book called Legion Quest, which leads
which is
into one
awesome.
of the best, I would argue, X-Men crossovers of all time. I say it without hyperbole, which is Age of Apocalypse.
I'm with you on
Like,
that too.
that is the crossover which I hate to say, but no crossover has really hit that height ever again in that regard. Like that was,
You for sure.
and but Legion Quest is basically Legion goes back in time, who is Xavier's son, to kill Magneto and accidentally kills Xavier, and that just sends reality spinning into a tailspin. And it's
Yeah,
great.
and it's awesome actually. It's one of my favorite books. I think after this I'm going to start reading it because it's one of my favorites of all time
Age of
too.
Apocalypse is
It's what
so
brought me
good.
back into comics.
Dude, Age of Apocalypse, you talk about, like I said, I grew up during that when that was coming out. It was like, we didn't have the internet really back then, so we didn't know what the
Mm.
hell was going on. Like, is this permanent? Like, like we didn't
Yeah,
know. It was so good, and there was so many possibilities coming out of it. You know what I mean? I absolutely loved. And not only that, like even leading into it, like they made some choices. We're like, hey, we're gonna do this thing, and then the Age of Apocalypse happens, and afterwards, like, oh, remember that thing we did? We have to resolve it. You're like, oh man, that's a thing. Like
Yeah.
you
Or
Gambit kisses Rogue. Wolverine pops his third claw through Sabretooth's brain. Like it was like
yeah.
crazy stuff.
And then
Anyway,
in Age of
I
Apocalypse, you
digress.
get to really see how Colossus is an asshole, which I think we've talked
Oh,
about.
I would
But
argue that book is called Generation Next.
yeah,
I would argue that's like one of the most powerful books in that whole thing.
yeah,
It's that ending is haunting.
yeah, for sure. The whole book is just great. So again, yeah, I think we're definitely going to be talking about that at some time.
Yeah, we will. That's
For sure.
that's gonna have to be that. We'll probably have to break that up though. Like I don't think we can do that all in one episode. But these are bad enough
Yeah,
that are 2
no.
hours, man. That's gonna have to be a
Yeah.
2 or 3 parter, something
Oh,
like
for
that. 'Cause
sure.
that's a
For sure.
huge one.
For sure. And then, but also, if you liked this Fatal Attraction, you definitely have to check out the X-Men 97,
Yeah,
the
finish that.
cartoon.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely some story points that are taken from this into
Oh yeah.
the cartoon. Yeah, for sure. Especially towards the end and everything. And just it's a great return of the X-Men cartoon and just the 90s team that
Nice.
everybody loves.
I'm trying so hard to get my kid into X-Men comics right now. Like I
uh-huh.
somehow, well, because we just read All of Bone by Jeff Smith, and we somehow transitioned that into his. Jeff Smith did a miniseries for Shazam, So we're
Oh yeah,
doing Shazam. So I'm
Shazam.
thinking, well, and I think I found the way. I'm gonna keep reading Shazam comics with it, but I'm gonna like, oh, now we're gonna read the Justice League with Shazam in it, and then the other thing I can do if I play a video game that has the X-Men in it, he'll be interested that way. And that's how I think I'm gonna do this.
Oh, dude. I don't know if it's still available, but check out that X-Men arcade game, the side scroller.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd
I'm
be
gonna try. I'm
and
gonna try,
then
man.
also, I mean, like he's into the Pokemon cards and stuff. Like
Yeah, yeah, we
maybe
play Pokemon.
yeah, no, so I mean another way for him to get it, maybe introduce him to the X-Men like trading card games, trading
Maybe.
cards.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. It's a delicate balance with a 7-year-old. They have a tendency to not go the way you want. So I'm like, "Is the Spider-Man comic cool?" "No."
You gotta
"Okay."
force him. That's what you gotta do.
"But
You
you're
gotta
good with
force him.
Shazam." "Yeah, this Shazam is great." "Okay."
You gotta force him. That's
I
what you gotta do. You
It's
will
it's like,
read
"No, you're gonna
this
read
right
The
now.
Sun." Yeah. No, he's, like, totally into Bone. He wants to read the other I'm like, "Alright, dude. We've read the literally 1,300
Hmm.
pages of Bone, and now we're picking up, like, the various, like, spin-offs that would happen with the book." I'm
Oh
like, "Alright,
wow.
well."
Yeah. Yeah, then you should introduce him to Mouse, and then that's the same thing,
Oh, yeah,
right?
that'd go real well. Yeah, really. Holy
uh,
hell.
oh man. But
Well
also I don't think we like I wrote this down, but I when we were talking about this, I think there's a lot of story points that were taken from this used
huh?
in the ultimate OG Ultimate X-Men.
Okay.
Like the mind wipe part
Magneto?
of Magneto, the just him just monologuing a lot, and then uh just Magneto being full on Magneto, and
Yeah.
um Quicksilver, that relationship too a little bit. It's just
Yeah.
there's very a lot of similarities that Mark Millar kind of takes from it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go back and read those Ultimate books.
They're amazing. That's really
Yeah.
fun.
Well, speaking of other books I have to read, what are the books that you are reading right now, Josh?
Yeah, so we're at the weekly recommendations with Josh and Brian. Um, and I
Put that
think,
into a song.
yeah, right, yeah. Um, I want a quarter every time we use it. The what am I reading? So what I read recently, this is going to be kind of out of character for me, but I actually read a book that didn't have pictures, and by read I mean audiobook. It's like
Okay, cool.
yeah, yeah. But I recently read Red Rising.
Is that
Have you
the
heard
f
about this?
I have a digital copy of the first book. 'Cause it's a trilogy, right?
I think it's like 5 books.
Okay, I know it's a series at least. I got like, I read, like, really good reviews about it, and I wanna say I have vague memories of vampires or something like that, but I could be wrong about that
Ooh,
entirely.
no, yeah,
But
that's wrong. Yeah.
I have the first book digitally, and I just haven't had a chance to read it yet.
It's a great book. It's a sci-fi book set in the future, and
Okay.
it delves into class system. It delves
Okay.
into like a story of revenge. It's a story of
Nice.
weird like future stuff, and like there's like a mix of Game of Thrones into it,
Okay, now
and Hunger
you had me
Games, and
okay, we're on
Star
board
Trek.
then.
It's all over the place.
Well, you have my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Right, right. And then for like actual like comic book, because this is a comic book podcast, I've been reading the Ultimate Endgame.
The
I
Dennis
wanted,
Camp is doing or Denise Camp is doing that, right?
yeah, yeah, and I
Okay.
mean, again, this is the culmination of everything that's been
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
with this, so it's great.
Alright. Well, it's funny, that's you actually your picks mirror mine in a weird way. I am also reading a book without pictures. I'm reading
What?
the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I ordered the first 2. I just got the 3rd book, at the library. I borrowed the first book from a friend, bought the second one, and now I got the 3rd one from the libraries, which I'm trying to just started literally today. I've been putting that on hold because 'cause I've been working on some other projects and also been trying to read all the mounds of stuff for this one. And then ironically enough, I'm reading Assorted Crisis Events, which is, Denise Camp's other book over at Image right now. So there we go.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard about that one. That one's pretty great. And
it's
then
great.
uh, I've I've listened to the first Crawler Carl series. So like if you want to, like, it's definitely a fun audiobook too. Like the narrator
Yeah.
of that is really good. And
Here's the problem. The only time I can ever listen to a book is when I'm
mm,
going to bed and I fall asleep listening
mm,
to it, and, like, it's
yeah,
like I just have to read them. I just have to read them because, like, I don't go
yeah,
on a long
yeah,
enough drive to ever actually have it on, you know what I mean?
yeah. I do it on my walks and stuff
Oh, that's
when,
fine, yeah.
um, or just when I'm playing a video game. Like
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, so those are our recommendations, and that's
there we go.
Fatal Attractions. I
If
again, I think
if you
if you're an X-Men fan, it's definitely worth the read, or if you want to like the history of a lot of the Marvel
yeah,
events, it's worth the read. But also, it's kind of like if you know what happened, you're kind of okay, you're good.
yeah. It's important to the X-Men history, but do you need to read it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're kind of iffy on it.
I like it a lot. I still like it a lot, but again, I was steeped in that
Yeah,
era.
you're a
Like, that's
'90s
what
apologist.
yeah, I will be, all to the day I die. I 100%, no problem about
Yeah,
that. Alright. Well, on that
Clone
note,
Saga. That's all I have to say. Clone Saga.
well, we're doing Clone Saga at one point. I
Ugh,
have the collect I
man.
we are going to do that at some point. I have all of the, I have most of the issues, and I have all of the trades, so yeah.
I'll
The
be
complete
sure.
trade.
I'll be sure to have some issues with that for sure.
I don't know how you
Meh.
can. I mean, it's just great. It's peak Spider-Man.
Oh goodness, we have a very different definition of peak. Um, so with that though, if you want to hear that, and actually check out our other stuff, please subscribe to the podcast. Hit us up also on Instagram and Blue Sky. I think it's We Got Issues and We Got Issues Cast. Then Brian's the BComp, and I think you're
Yep.
also back on the Instagrams. Am I right?
Yeah, I had to do some work for a friend, and I had to do it on Instagram.
Ooh,
I'm not an Instagram guy, but my account is Speedo Jedi. If you wanna look me up there, I have one picture on it. It is Matt Myra
it's Matt Myra. Yeah.
From the AOTS days, and that is it.
Okay.
I
So
actually do
yeah,
wanna use it to do some other content, but, yeah, yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram.
yeah, and
Speedo Jedi.
if you find us on the socials, let us know what you want us if you want us to cover something, or if there's something
Yeah,
you want
please.
to ask us about too. We're always willing to chat, and with that too, check out the other episodes. Look at this episode, give us 5 stars, recommend it to your friends, your family, pets,
Loved ones, non-loved
loved
ones.
ones, non-loved ones, families
What are we
at
doing next?
school who dress up their kids as Storm
Storm
for
from the
Halloween.
'97 X-Men. What, what's next episode gonna be, Josh?
Our next episode is we're going not only are we covering a great book, The Green Lantern Rebirth, we're actually going to have a guest on the show. I know.
Oh,
Hold for applause. Hold for the the gasp, but we're having a guest on the show, and he had so much fun last time. He's coming back. We're having Gene Aversa from
Serving Up Comics.
Serving Up Comics.
Former G4 alum along with all three of he's a former G4 alum, so, you know, there we
Yeah,
go.
I mean, yes, and we had a great conversation with him last time about Ultimate Spider-Man, and can't wait to chat with him about Green Lantern Rebirth.
Yeah. All right.
All right, well, thank you everybody for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Peace.